In today's comprehensive app building tutorial, we're going to be building a complex app with no code. Additionally, we're going to be using things like Supabase for backend, as well as Algolia for lightning fast search. So make sure you watch this tutorial until the end and let me know if you have any questions or comments below. Now, before we get started, as always, the app that I'm about to build in this video will be available to view and or clone from my Patreon page. And to learn more about our amazing Patreon community and its benefits, check out the link in the description below the video. Now, before we get going, one of the first things that I always like to do is to create an architecture diagram. Now, I like to spend some time doing this because the more time you spend doing this, the less hassle and struggle you're going to experience later on. So this is very, very important. And another thing that I want to point out is that you don't need to get this 100% right. You want to get it around 80% there, okay? Because there's always going to be a chance that you might modify it as you're building the app. It's very, very rare you're going to get this exactly how you want your end, app to look like. All right, so here is our diagram right now, and we have here an e-commerce app using Supabase and Algolia for search. And so we're going to be using authentication. We're going to be using Supabase authentication. The user logs in and they're going to have a profile, and they're also going to have order status, or they'll be able to change, their user information, things like that. And also from this profile, they'll be able to access order status as well. So we can have this connection right there. Now, in terms of the regular store flow, the regular e-commerce store flow, they're going to see the home page. And from the home page, they can take various actions. Primarily, they can go straight to the product detail view. So they can click on the product that they see on the home page somewhere, and they can get information about that product, or they can go to the category view. So maybe they're browsing by category, right? They're looking for a, like a camera or a some kind of an accessory, right? Maybe a phone or a laptop. They're not quite sure which one exactly. They're looking for a specific type of product, so they're gonna have the category view. The other option, the third option, is they can search for something. Okay, so they're not going to the product view, they're not going to the category view, but they kind of know what they're looking for, right? Maybe they're looking for like a new iPhone or a new Android or something like that. So in that case, they can just search, and we're going to be using Algolia for this, which is the right choice, because as you're going to see a little bit later in the video, it's kind of tricky to do searching with Supabase right now. Now, when they get to the product detail page here, they can do a bunch of things from the product detail page. Well, first and foremost, they can read about the product, understand it. And on the product detail page, we're going to have a lot of information, things like image, product image, description, title, reviews, lots of information that are going to be useful to the buyer, to the prospective buyer. And here they can click on and learn about the product in terms of reviews. So see what other people have left and, rated the product. And in terms of the review, this is going to be two things, right? There's going to be a rating, 1 to 5, as well as the actual review, which is going to be text. Now, here I have reviews as a separate thing, and we might do it as a separate page, or this could be as part of the product detail page. We'll see when we get to this part of the app building process. But regardless what we decide in terms of displaying the reviews, the customer will be able to leave a review. Okay, and that's going to be maybe in line, or that's going to be as a separate pop-up or a separate page. Now, as the customer is browsing the store, they'll probably want to purchase something, and before they do that, they're going to be adding an item to the shopping cart. So they're going to have this add to cart functionality, and we are going to display how many items the customer has right on the page, on the header as the customer is browsing from page to page. We're also going to have the view card option. So there's going to be a separate page or maybe a pop-up that's going to display the shopping cart functionality, allowing the customer to maybe increase the quantity of a particular product or delete the product, or just, mainly view what they have in the shopping cart, and they'll be able to do a checkout. So the next logical step is to look at the shopping cart, manage it, modify it here and there, and then do a checkout. Okay. Now on this checkout page, they'll be able to see, the products that they are purchasing, about the purchase, maybe some other information, their address, things like that, payment method. And then they're going to say, okay, I'd like to buy these. And they're going to be redirected to the confirmation page. So that is our kind of a rough e-commerce app flow. And just like I said in the beginning, I do reserve the right to modify it. And in fact, we might be modifying it, adding a couple of things here, changing a couple of things here and there. It's all a natural process of building an app. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the database schema. So we're going to be using Supabase for this, which is an awesome database backend that offers lots of awesome functionality, things like authentication, database, storage, edge functions, and a bunch of other things that's going to come and play when we're going to be building this app. Now, when it comes to the actual database, where Supabase is actually storing this data, Supabase uses a relational database. And so what this means is that you have to align your data in entities, and each entity needs its own table. And so these are our tables here. And the way that this works is that I have here a user info table, which is a one-to-one relationship to a user table. So there's a user table that's built in into Supabase, and you never really want to mess with that table. That table has like user email and user ID, and it has limited number of information about the user. And so if you want to add additional information about the user, you need to create another table and create a link to that table. So every record in this user info table is going to have a one-to-one relationship to the corresponding record in the original authentication user table. The next thing that we have is we have the orders table. Okay, and so this is going to be a one-to-many relationship because one user can have many orders, and we have this order table, and each order can have multiple items as well. And so, if the user has a shopping cart, they're buying 5 things, and that's all part of one order. Well, that order has multiple order items. Okay, so we have orders and order items. Now, in terms of the store, we are going to be storing categories. A category can have multiple products, and a product can have multiple reviews. And so this is our initial database schema, and you're probably going to see this schema evolve over the app building process, which is a very, very normal thing that happens all the time. All right, the next thing that we need to do is we need to create our database schema. Okay, so here's our diagram, and let's go ahead and do that. So here I am logged into Supabase, and so I'm going to pick my organization right here. I'm going to click on all projects, and I'm going to choose one of my projects here. Now, this particular project has a bunch of tables and views, and so what we're going to do is we're going to create our tables and views with a prefix, and the prefix we're going to be using is E_, which stands for e-commerce. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what kind of tables we need to create. So the first thing we want to do is create this table user info, because essentially that's going to be an extension of the user table. Okay, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to create a new table. I'm going to say user info. I'm going to scroll down, and the first thing that we need to do is we need to link it to the original table. So I'm going to add a column, and I'm going to say user ID, and I'm going to give it a type, which is UUID, which is that type that's used for users. Next, you want to click here, and you want to select that original authentication table, which is in this auth schema. And you can select users, and you want to make sure that it's selected on ID here. Now, what you want to do is you want to add columns that represent this extra information that, really is the whole point we're creating this table. And right now, let's go ahead and create a field called username that we're going to be displaying throughout the site. So instead of displaying their actual name or their email, we might want to display username. And we also might want to be, using this username as the name where they leave reviews, right? So when they leave reviews and we look at reviews, we don't want to display their actual email or their real name. So this is kind of their, handle here, right? Their nickname, if you will. And the type is going to be text right here. And we're going to click save. And what we just did is we created an extension of the user's table, a one-to-one relationship to the original table. And right now we just have one field called username. And the beauty of this setup is that we can add additional fields later on, and we'll be able to easily access them just as easy as we can access a username. Okay, so this table is creating, and we've just created it here. The next thing that we want to do is we want to create maybe the categories table. Let's start with categories, products, and reviews, and then work our way down here. So the next thing we want to do is create categories. Now, categories is a top level table. It's not linked to anything. It's not linked to users. It's not, it's not linked to anything. It's not on the many side of any relationship. It's on the one side because, you're going to have multiple products, but the product is going to be linked to the categories, not the other way around. So I'm going to say new table. I'm going to say e-categories, and we are going to add a column. And let's say the first thing we want to do is the name, the category name. This is going to be text and maybe a description. I'm just going to say desk, which is how I abbreviate a description. This is going to be text as well. And right now it's fine. Maybe later on we'll do something else. Okay, right now this is sufficient. And we are gonna save this table. It's creating it right now. Next, let's go ahead and create products, which is pretty much the star of the show, if you will, followed by reviews. So come back here. This is adding right here, and it has just been created. E-categories is done. Let's go ahead and create a new table called e-products. And here we want to create a link to categories because products is no longer a top level table. It needs to be linked to a category. Okay. And so we're going to say category ID, select this int 8, go ahead and fetch our e-categories ID, hit save. Okay. Next is product name and a product description. Okay, so name is text and description is text. Also the price may be price, and the price is going to be numeric, right? We're going to be using numeric for price. What else do we need? Image. Image is going to be the URL, and so this is going to be text again. Let's see. So we have image, we have the title, the name, description. That product might have reviews, but we don't have the reviews table yet. We're going to do that later and then link them together. So I think that's it. We'll come back to it if we need to do something else. Hit save, and let's go ahead and create it right now. All right, table e-products is good to go, and this table has been created. Next thing, let's create this reviews table, which is going to have a one-to-many relationship to products. It's going to be on the many side. Come back here, click new table. Let's do e-reviews. And the review, each individual review is actually two fields. It's the rating and the actual review. But before that, we need to link it to an individual product. Reviews cannot exist in a vacuum. Okay. So this is going to be product ID, int 8, come back here, e-products, okay, hit save, and now we can create the individual review fields. So first we have rating, which is going to be numeric, and then we're going to have the actual review, which is going to be text. Okay, so that's it. I think that's it. We can always come back to it if we realize we missed something. That is being created right now. All right, reviews has been created. Let's go back to our schema. Let's go ahead and create orders and order items. Okay, let's do that real quick. New table, e-orders. Now for the orders, the only thing we really need to link is to the user. Okay, we are not going to be linking it to the individual products because that's going to be the job of order items, which is what we're going to be creating next. And so let's go ahead and create a user ID. Who created this order, right? It's a specific user did that. So we're going to link it not to the original user table, but to that, that extra table that we created, that auxiliary table, that user info. And so we're going to link it by int 8. We're going to come back here and we are going to do user info. Okay, we're going to link it right here. And what else do we need for orders? Well, not much. We have created date, we have the user. I think that's enough for now. Maybe some notes, right? Maybe notes is a good one, right? Because when you place an order, maybe these are going to be notes for delivery, right? Leave the box at the front door, or non-contact order, things like that. So I'm just going to put notes in here, and this is going to be text. Okay, and I think we're done. Let's go ahead and create this table here. All right, and this table has been created. And last but not least, we need to create order items. Okay, and this is going to hold the individual products in that order. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that right now. New table, order items. Okay, so we have ID created at. The first thing that we need to do is we need to link it to a specific order, right? Like, this specific item needs to be part of an order, right? So we're going to say order ID, and this is going to be int 8, and we're going to link it to our orders right here. The next thing that we want to do is we want to create the product ID, right? Because a product exists on the site, exists in the catalog, but the minute that it has been ordered, it's an order item. Okay, so we're going to say product ID, and we are going to link it to the products table, because we want to know, what is the actual product that the person has ordered. This is going to be int 8. We're going to come back here and we're going to select products, hit save. Okay, and I think that's about it. And the way this is going to work, remember, we have a relational database, is that we are going to have, let's say, the person, they created one order, and inside the order they have 3 items. So let's say they're buying a camera, they're buying a tripod, and they're buying like an SD card for the camera. And so we're going to create one order in the app, but the order items are going to be 3 items, essentially 3 rows, where the order ID is going to be the same, but the product ID is going to be different. These are going to be the product IDs for the products. Okay, so that is kind of what we have. Yeah, looks good. And that table is being created. All right, so now we have categories, we have products, we have reviews. Then on the other side, we have user info, we have orders for that user, and we have order items. Okay, so we have like 6 tables here, which is exactly what we have in this database schema. So at this point, we've covered the app's architecture, and we also created the schema right here. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to populate our database with some sample data, so that when we start building the app, we can at least display the data and make sure that everything kind of fits in together. So the tables that I want to populate right now are these ones mainly. So things like categories, products, and maybe reviews later on. And I also want to populate at least 1 or 2 records here in this user info table, which, if you recall, is a table that's going to have additional user information that is not being stored in the original table. All right, so here's our database. And if we go into the auth schema here and we find the user table, you're going to see this user table right here. This is my record here. We have a bunch of users there, but this is the record that I'm going to be logging in as. So let's go back to our public schema here, and let's go ahead and create a user info record so that we can display the additional user information. Because if you remember, we're not going to be using that user table in our app. We're going to be using only this user info table, okay? So I'm going to insert a row right here. We can skip this. For the user ID, I'm going to click here and I'm going to find my record. This is my record right here, A0. If you scroll over, you can see it's james@james.com. So this is the record here. And right now, this table only stores the username record. Like I said before, you can add additional fields and they're going to be stored on the record as well. But right now, I think username is enough. And for the username, I'm going to put NoCode and I'm going to hit save. All right, so now we have a record in this e-user info that's linked to my username. So that means we can at least work with my username in the various logic once we start building the app. The next thing that I want to do is I want to create some dummy data for categories and products. Okay, so we're gonna go and find categories right here, and let's create a couple of dummy records. So I'm gonna insert a row here, and let's say a category is video cameras, and description, the best video cameras money can buy. Okay, hit save, and let's go ahead and add another record here. This is going to be microphones, the best microphones for recording, and let's go ahead and add another record just to make it 3 records. Insert row, and I'm gonna call it tripods, and the description is highest quality tripods so that you can have the most stable videos. Okay, so something like this. Hit save. All right, so now we have 3 categories. The next thing I want to do is I want to create 3 products and link them to some of the categories. Okay, insert a row. Let's go ahead and add a product for each. So I'm gonna add a video camera, and let's say this is Sony A6700, very versatile video camera for making videos and taking pictures. We also need the price and the image. So let's go ahead and do the price. So let's say the price is $700, and the images I'm gonna add later. Let's add another record, and this is going to be a microphone, and I'm gonna put something like Rode wireless microphone, the most portable microphone you can buy. Price, let's say $150. Image we're gonna add later, and last but not least, this is going to be a tripod. Okay, so this is gonna be a Manfrotto tripod, the best tripod for your photos and videos. Okay, price is $100. All right, so now we have 3 records, each one being in its own category, and so that way we can test multiple categories. And so we've created dummy data for these 3 tables here, which is enough to get us started and kind of start building the app, which is what we're going to be doing next. All right, the next thing that I want to do is I want to start building the app and connecting it to our Supabase database. So here I am in FlutterFlow. Let's go ahead and create a new app. This is going to be ecom blank app here, and we're not going to be using Firebase. Unselect that, and here we are. So let's go ahead and configure our Supabase. Settings, integrations, Supabase, enable Supabase. We need an API URL and an anon key, and you can get that by going back to your database, project settings, APIs. Here's the URL, copy that, paste it right here, go back here, copy anon key, paste it right here, hit get schema. And now we are seeing all the tables and all the views. Now remember, the only ones that we're going to be using for this project are the tables and the views that have E underscore as the first couple of characters, right? So they need to be prepended by E underscore, okay? So as you can see, we see all the tables, and you can kind of click on them and see the schema for each of the tables. So we have e-user info, we have products, we have categories, everything is here. Now the next thing that you want to do is you want to turn on authentication. Okay, so you can head over here and you can click on authentication, enable authentication. We want to select Supabase. Now we need an entry page and we need a logged in page. So the logged in page is the home page, but the entry page is a page we haven't built yet. So we're going to go back to UI builder, add a page right here, new page, and we're going to click on auth. And here you have a bunch of login pages. So the page I typically work with is this page, but you can use any page that you want. So we're going to say use my theme, call it login, create page, and now we have a login page that we can use. So we can go back to settings, authentication, Supabase, and set that page as a login page. Okay, so now we have these pages configured. Now when we go to our app, we have some project issues, and that typically happens whenever you use some of the templates because they assume that you have some other things turned on when you don't. So in this case, I'm gonna remove all of this third-party stuff because we're only going to be using user login and password, so like email and password. So I'm going to delete that. Next, I'm going to click on login as well, and I'm going to delete this right here. So delete this button right here, and we don't really Need that as well. Okay, now we have one error. Let's go ahead and double check that. And the reason we have this error is because we have a small bug in the template that FlutterFlow provided. Okay, so this bug will probably be fixed soon. But the issue here is when you're creating an account, you need an email, but you also need a confirm password field. So you need a couple of these password fields. So if you select this password field, we're going to duplicate it and we're going to label this one password 2, which is the confirmation password. And then if we go back here, select this here, we can now set password to here, and we should have one error left, and Google is not supported, and because we need to select email here. Okay, and email is email, password is password, password 2 is password 2. Okay, so now we don't have any issues. Now we're good to go, and we can actually run our app, and we should be able to log in. Except that, you know, once the person logs in, they're going to see this empty page. Okay, so let's go ahead and build out this page first, and then we're going to run our app and make sure everything works. Now, this page here is going to be our categories page. So when the user logs in, they're going to see a grid of different categories, and then they'll be able to click on the category, go to the next page, and see a grid of products. Okay. So let's go ahead and, yeah, this could be home page. I'm just going to call it home page. And I'm just going to call this, I'm going to say categories. A page that's going to display a list of categories in a grid like a layout. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a grid view here. Now we have a grid view. So the next thing you want to do is you want to configure it. There's many things that you can configure this grid view with. So for instance, axis vertical. You can make it horizontal, but vertical should suffice. And we have a cross-axis count. This is how many items are going to be displayed on the cross-axis. So remember, the axis is vertical. That means the cross-axis is horizontal, which is kind of what we have. And here you have various spacing. That's absolutely fine, but the actual categories are going to be displayed inside this grid. So we need to add a container, and that container is going to display things like the image, the name of the category, stuff like that. So we have a container here, and inside this container, I'm going to add a column, and this column is going to have the fields, the widgets that are going to be displaying the content. In this case, this is going to have an image, and it's going to have text. Okay, so image and text, and we're going to align it all properly. First, you want to take a look at the container. The container typically has a width and a height. You can remove that because we don't really need that. If the container does not have a defined width and height, it's going to define itself based on its children. Okay, so in this case, that's exactly what we want. Now for the image, let's make it, I don't know, 100 by 100. Let's see how that looks. Okay, that looks pretty cool actually, right? There's no overflow, and then we have the name of the category here. Actually, that looks really good. Another thing that you can do is you can give some padding to the container to make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And as you can see now, the image is taking up a lot of space. So let's go ahead and make it just a tad smaller here. So let's make it, let's say 90 by 90, or maybe even 70 by 70. Okay, so something like this. We'll see how everything looks in a second. Okay. So now we have this grid view with this child element that's, you know, this layout here, container, column, image, and text. The next thing you want to do is you want to feed this grid view with your data. In this case, this is going to be the category. So we're going to select grid view, come over here, and we're going to say backend query, Supabase query, and we're going to select e-categories here, list of rows. No filtering. We can do ordering. Let's do ordering by category name. And here you want to do increasing. So A to Z. Okay. Confirm, confirm. And now as you can see, there's this little repeating behavior that you see. That means that now this list view or grid view is backed by data. Next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you're actually displaying the images. So let's go ahead and change the text first because we don't have any images yet. Click on the text, e-categories row, select name here, and at least the name is going to show up. We still need to upload the images, but that's fairly easy to do. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and run this app and let's log in and let's make sure that everything kind of works together. So I'm going to hit the run button here. And we're going to wait for our environment to load. Okay, so you need to wait a couple of minutes initially And then later on, it's going to be instant. All right, so here's our app. And as you can see, we are at the create account screen. We can scroll down and click on login and try to log in with that account that I had there. So I'm going to type james@james.com and see if I can log in. Now, when we run the app, we're not seeing any data for categories. And typically when that happens and you know you have data, the issue is most likely a security issue, right? So maybe you didn't set the right permissions, you don't have the right policies, or something is just not there. So let's go ahead and go into Supabase right here and check out our table. And if we select the table that we're looking at, we see that it says here no active RLS policies. So you want to select this, and we have RLS enabled, but we don't have any policies. So we need to create a new policy, full customization, and I'm just going to call it allow all. I'm going to say all, and here I'm going to put true. Okay. Now, obviously, this is just for the testing phase. When you launch your app to your users, you want to tweak these policies so that you're only, allowing the users to access the data that they should be able to access. But for now, this is going to suffice. We're going to click review, hit save, and now we have a policy that allows access to everybody. And here you can edit it if you want. And as you can see, it says true here. And this allows everything, right? Defaults to all. Okay. So now what we want to do is we can go back to our app and we can reload it, and hopefully it's going to display the categories. And now, as you can see, we are seeing the categories and they are being displayed in this grid pattern here. We're seeing the names. We are not seeing the images because we don't have the images in the database. So let's go ahead and fix this right now. So what we want to do is we want to go back into our database, tables, categories. And here in this categories table, what we can do is we can add a new column, images, right? So we're just going to say image. We don't need a description. We don't need any of that. The data type is going to be text because we're going to be passing a URL. Okay. Here we're going to say save. And now we can find the images for each of these categories and add them here. Now I went ahead, looked for the images, found the images and downloaded them. And now what we need to do is we need to upload them. So we're going to be using the storage here in order to save the images. So I'm going to create a new bucket. I'm just going to call it B2 here. I'm just going to set it as a public bucket for now, hit save. And here we can upload the images and access them on our app. All right, I went ahead and uploaded the images here. And if you click it, you can see the actual image. So this is our camera category image. This is microphone. And this is a tripod right here. And now what we can do is we can configure the URLs for these images in our database. So here we can get the URL. We copied the URL and we are going to go ahead and modify our category records to display the URL of the category image. So we're going to come here. And so here we have a tripod. I'm going to paste tripod right here. For the microphone, I'm going to go to the microphone, get URL, copy the URL, microphone and video camera, get URL, video camera. Okay, so now we have the images and now we can go back to our app and make sure that we are actually pulling in the images. But before we can do that, we can go back to our schema, Supabase, refresh the schema. And now if we go into categories, we see the image right here. Go back to the UI editor. And now for the image, we can pull it from the database. Okay, so we have image type is network and the path, click here, images, categories, image. Okay, and that's going to pull the image. So let's go ahead and reload the app, see if the images get displayed. All right, and there you have it. So now the images are showing up as well as the names. Okay, we can still kind of fix it up a little bit. And we're going to do that later. Right now, I just want to make sure that the functionality is on point. And then later on, we can kind of tweak the app and do some minor UI refreshes, if you will. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to create another screen that's going to display the products for the specific category here. And this is going to look exactly like we have it here, except it's going to display the products. So now we can go back here. And this homepage, I'm just going to duplicate it and I'm going to say product list. Okay, so now we have a product list. I'm just going to say products. And this right here, it's going to pull up the products here. Okay, so this grid view, come by here, edit backend query. I'm just going to do products. Okay, so except we're going to be filtering them by the category. Okay, so I'm going to hit confirm for now. And once we click on it, it should display the products. And before we actually create the category filter, let's go ahead and create the actual product list. Let's make sure it works. Go back to our home page, and for the container, on the container level, I'm going to do navigation. So in fact, I can just add an action, navigate to product list, and we're going to be passing a parameter, and the parameter is going to be the category ID. Okay, so we're going to come in here. This is going to be in the integer. We're going to put an integer, and this is going to be category ID required, confirm, and we're going to pass a category ID from the category row, which is this ID right here. So it's going to pass the ID, and then we're going to filter by that category ID to get the right products. Now this redirects it there, and then for the products here, for the product list, we are just pulling and displaying all the products. And let's create a filter. Might as well, right? So we're going to say category ID is equal to the parameter that we're passing, this category ID right here. And we can do an order by name in increasing order. And the next thing I want to do is I want to configure this thing here. So the image, I think it's the same thing, if I'm not mistaken, because we're not getting an error. So it's still name as, you know, we had the category name. This is product name. And I believe it's the same thing, products name and image. So we have the same thing, except we don't have the product images, but we're going to fix that a little bit later. But let's go ahead and run this and see if the product list displays correctly. All right, here's our app. So if we click, let's say on tripods, we are redirected into the product screen, but once again, we're not seeing anything. And you can probably guess why that's happening. And the reason that's happening is because the permissions, we don't have the policy attached to that table. So let's go back to Supabase and let's click on eProduct. And we have RLS enabled, but we don't have an RLS policy, and you need an RLS policy. So we're going to click here, new policy, full, allow all, and then you want to put true here, review, save policy. Let's go ahead and reload this, and hopefully it's going to work. All right, tripods, click here, and it says here unexpected null value. And the reason we're seeing that null value is probably because of the image, because the image has a null value. So if we go back to our data here, let's go into our Supabase table, eProducts, we have image set as null. And that's why, you know, this is a problem, because it's null. It's not empty. It's not set to anything. It's null. And FlutterFlow does not know how to display a null image. So that's why you're getting an error. So let's go ahead and add the images here. So this was tripod. So I'm going to go back here, find the tripod. I'm just going to reuse the image to simplify, and I'm going to put it in here, save changes. And let's do the same thing for the microphone and the camera. So this is microphone, get URL. This is the microphone right here, as well as the camera, get URL, camera. All right, so now we have that set up. Let's go ahead and see if it works. So let's go ahead and reload it, and hopefully things are going to be okay. All right, there's the app tripods, and we are seeing the tripod, except there's an overflow issue. And the reason there's an overflow issue is because we have a lot of text there. So we need to fix this. But if you go to microphones, again, an overflow issue, we're going to fix that. Camera, there's no overflow issue. So at least you're seeing the products correctly. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to do on that products page. So this product list, I want to display the actual name of the category, right? So for instance, I want to say products, and then the name of the category. Now, there's a couple of ways of doing it. One of the ways is we can query the category by the ID on this page. So we're going to have two queries. We're going to query the products for a specific category, and we're going to query the actual categories for that ID. But another way of doing it, and this is a simpler way in my opinion, is by passing the category name from this page here, because on this page we already discovered it, we already queried for it, so we can pass it very easily. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my action here, and I'm going to pass another parameter. This is going to be the category name. So I'm going to say category name, because we are already passing the category ID. So why not pass the name as well? So I'm going to come in here, set as a string, confirm, and then I'm going to pass it here. So category name right here, name. Okay. So now we can pass it. We have ID and we have the name. We can pass other things if we want later on. But right now, this should suffice. And now we can click here and we can do a combine text and products for, and then add this, and we can do category name, confirm, and now it's going to say cat products for whatever, video cameras, or in fact we can do in whatever. All right, so now we can reload this again, and not only are we going to be displaying the right products filtered by the category ID, but we also are going to be displaying the category name as well, which I think is going to be useful to our users. So I'm going to click on this products for tripods, or in fact we can just say microphones, you know, just keep it very simple. In fact, we can just remove this and that's it. Reload this here and see how that looks. All right, tripods, and we have a tripod, microphones, we have microphones. We should probably add a back button here and fix the overflow. All right, so if you click on app bar right here, you want to enable show default button. And when you do that, you're gonna have this back button right here. Now, the next thing you wanna do is you wanna fix the text from overflowing. There are a couple of ways of doing it. The first thing you wanna do is you want to decrease the font size, okay? You wanna make it a little bit smaller, and that's going to fix a lot of the issues. Another thing that you can do is you can specify max characters allowed. So let's say you want, let's say 10 characters. And there's also a text overflow replacement. This is the behavior that's going to take place when you have, you know, beyond the maximum allowed characters. So we're going to say here, and we want to do ellipsis here. Or you can do cutoff, okay? It's really up to you. Let's go ahead and reload the app and see how it looks. All right, there's the app. Click on tripods, and now you see it's a little bit better. Okay, there's still an issue with overflowing, but at least we're not getting that error anymore, right? If you go into microphones, you see now it understands the limit and it displays it correctly. Okay. Another thing that you can do is you can enable expansion here and or increase the number of characters allowed. So let's say I put 30 and I enable expansion. That should allow all the characters to be displayed. It should not clip things anymore. Let's go ahead and reload our app. All right, there's the app. You see, now it's displaying the whole thing. There it is. Now it's displaying the whole thing. And this has been displaying the whole thing. So you see, everything is fine. Of course, we can center it as well. And you can do that by wrapping it in a row. So we're going to wrap this in a row. And then you can center the row, and that's going to center it below. Let's see how that looks. All right, there's the app. And if you click on it, you see it's nicely centered now. Okay, looks really good to me, in fact. All right, so now we have categories. We have the products as well. Let's go ahead and work on the next steps. Next, let's go ahead and work on the product detail view. Okay, this is going to be the screen that's going to display the product information. So images, name, description, add to cart, buy button, etc., etc. And in this case, let's go ahead and try to find a template instead of starting from scratch. So if you go into content, you're going to see some interesting templates. So I've been using this template previously. In fact, let's use it here, and I'm going to say product detail. All right, so now we have a product detail right here, and this is going to display the product image, product name, and some maybe description information, and maybe later we're also going to display ways of leaving reviews and things like that. And this could be, you know, buy now, buy immediately, or add to cart. So we're going to have maybe two buttons here. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to load the product information. Okay, and we can do that by using the parameter that we're going to be passing. So the parameter is going to be product ID. This is going to be an integer. It's required, confirm. Okay, so now we have the parameter. We can start getting the data. And so you want to go to the top level right here. You want to do Supabase query eProducts filter ID of the product equals to the parameter, right? This parameter product ID, and that's it. So now we're going to get one product. In fact, we don't want a list of rows. We just want single row. Okay. And in fact, that should always be single row because that product ID is unique, right? It's the priority key, and which means it's going to be unique across all records in that specific table. All right. So now we have this here, and let's go ahead and fill it in. Let me take a look at this app bar right here. And for the app bar, let's set it to to the primary color here so that it kind of looks like the other pages. Okay, this should be white. Let's scroll down. Primary text, I'm gonna make it white, and this should be white as well. This is secondary background. Okay, and for the class details, I'm gonna say product details, and here let's go ahead and display the image. So scroll down, path, and eProducts row. This is the name of the product, eProducts name, and let's go ahead and delete this. We don't really need that. This is gonna be the description, product desk, description. Here we have some tagline. I'm not really sure I need that. Maybe we'll use it later. Just going to leave that. And here we have a bunch of users, so we don't really need that for sure. And in fact, for this, we can use it for reviews. Okay, we're going to be doing reviews, and in order to list the reviews, to display review data, we need to create another view, which we don't have yet. So we're going to do that in just a second. But right now, I just want to focus on product stuff. So this button right here, I'm going to wrap it in a row, and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to create two buttons because I want to have a flow where you buy now, and add to cart. So let's make it a little bit smaller. Okay, that looks better. This one also 150. Actually, and yeah, add to cart. Maybe a little bit bigger. This is a row. Let's space it out. Okay, that looks better. I don't know if this is ideal, but for now, this is going to suffice. And let's go back to product list and container, and let's do a navigation, add an action, navigate to product detail. Product ID is going to be our product ID, which is right here. Okay, so now we have the product ID, we're passing it, and we are going to be displaying all this information here. Let's go ahead and run the app and see if it works as expected. All right, there's the app. Let's say I want a tripod. I have this Manfrotto tripod. Click here, and here we are. Product details, Manfrotto tripod. We have the image, the best tripod. We have a description, maybe a little bit of padding between the name and the description. Then we are going to have reviews here. So I'm going to change that. Buy now and add to cart. Let's go ahead and fix it up just a tad bit. Okay, so something like this. This is going to be reviews. So the way the reviews are going to look, well, it's just going to be like on Amazon. So I'm thinking something like, this is going to be like maybe 4.5 reviews, and then they can click on it, and either they're going to go to another page, read the reviews, or they are going to have a pop-up or something like this. But maybe something like this. Let's go ahead and wrap it in a row. Let's center it, make it a little bit bigger, center it nicely. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit bigger, 16 maybe. Okay. All right, looks pretty good. Okay, that looks pretty clean. So now we have a product detail page that works perfectly. Now I was looking at this detail page, and I realized that I do want to display the reviews in line. Okay, so not all the reviews, obviously, they're like, tens or hundreds of reviews. I want to display maybe the last 3 in line here. And the way that we're going to be doing is we're going to have a little inline list here that's going to pull up the review for a specific product. Now, before we can do that, we need to have some data in our reviews table. So we're going to go back to Supabase, click on e-reviews, and we're going to create 3 reviews for a specific product. So the product that we're looking at is this Manfrotto tripod. So we're going to go back here and create 3 reviews. Remember, we're working in 3s, 3 categories, 3 products. It's a nice way to kind of standardize your data. So we're going to select the product, and we're going to work with this Manfrotto tripod. The rating is 5. Let's say the first review really liked it. Awesome tripod, loved it. Let's go ahead and save this. And the next review here, tripod rating is 4. Great, but pricey. Okay, so the customer liked it, but it was a little pricey. Next one, this tripod here, rating is 2. So this person didn't like it. Nothing special. Many other tripods are better. So he or she wasn't too happy about this particular product. Hit save. And so now we have 3 reviews for the same product. Product ID 3, 542 ratings, and some reviews here. And before we go back to FlutterFlow, let's create an RLS policy so we can actually pull this data. So click here, new policy, full, allow all true, review, save policy. Now we'll be able to access the data, go back into our app. And so here we are going to be displaying the average rating of the reviews, but below that, we are going to display the last 3 reviews. And so what I want to do is write this row right here, just above this row. So we have a column here. And so inside this column, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another list view. So I'm going to say list view right here, and we're going to rearrange it. So let's go ahead and fix this up, this padding right here. And we have this list view. Let's bring it up here. Now let's bring the buttons. Okay. And now we have this list view. Now I'm going to give it a name, reviews list, and this is going to display the reviews. So I want to do a little bit of padding so this is not so close to it. Right now we have a list, and this list view is going to grab the data. It's going to grab the Supabase data from that reviews table, right? So we have this e-reviews, list of reviews, and we're also going to do a limit. So I want a limit of 3, and here what I want to do is I want to order by created at, and I want to do in decreasing order. So the first 3 are the last ones. So we're going to do in decreasing order so that the first one is the newest one, and then the date decreases. Confirm, confirm. And now we have this list view, and now let's go ahead and add some elements. So I'm going to add a row, and inside the row, I'm going to add 2 text fields, and let's go ahead and center the row, and let's go ahead and add this one here. This is going to be a rating, reviews row rating, and we can actually format it, number format, no formatting, and this thing is going to be the actual reviews, e-reviews review. Okay. So this is going to display the reviews, and we can make it a little bit nicer. So we can maybe wrap it in a container. So something like this, remove this, remove that, give it a little bit of nice padding, kind of stands out. And we can also do a box shadow. So something like this, maybe, I don't know. Let's see this container right here. Yeah. And then what we can do is we can do reviews, and on the reviews level, we can do a little bit more padding. Okay, so something like this. Okay, and let's give it a rounded corner border radius. I really like that. 10 is a little, 10 is too little. Let's make it 5 is too little. Let's make it 10. Okay, now it looks a little bit better. Let's give it a little bit more padding inside this internal padding on the list here. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Okay. So now we're getting the product, and then we're getting the reviews for the product. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this app and make sure that everything is being displayed correctly. Let's create a new session here. All right, so here's our app. Let's click on our tripods. There's the Manfrotto. And there you have it. So we need to make sure that this is laid out correctly. It's a little messy right now, but at least we're displaying the right data. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that this here is an aggregate, right? So this should display the average, and then it should display the number of reviews. So it should say, X reviews, and then, whatever is the average is. Okay, so, let's say we have 3 reviews. In that case, the average is 2 plus 4, which is 6, plus 5, 11, divided by 3, which is 3 point something. And so that should be 3 point something, and out of 3 reviews. So this should be an aggregate here. Now, for us to display this aggregate, we need to create another view, right? Because this data here comes directly from the profile, from the product table. But because we're displaying reviews, which is a separate table, and anytime you're displaying data that is gotten from, 2 or more tables, you need to create a view. So we're going to go back into Supabase, and we're going to create a special view that we're going to pull our data. That is going to give us the average of all the reviews, as well as the count of the reviews, basically the number of reviews. So let's go back into Supabase here and SQL editor, and let's go ahead and create a prompt for our Supabase AI to work off. We're going to say create the view to display all product data and the number of reviews and average rating for the product. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, and this is what it came up with. Okay, so it's using product reviews here, and then it's getting the count of as review count and the rating as average rating, and then it's doing a join products and reviews. Okay, let's go ahead and accept the change. Let's go ahead and execute this. Success. And let's see if the view gives us what we want. Okay, and this is the view right here, product reviews. We need to rename it to make sure it's E underscore, which we're going to do in a second. But now is the moment of truth. Let's click on it and see if we're getting the right data. Okay, so as you can see, we are getting the product, so we're getting the right data. And as you can see for the Manfrotto tripod, the review count is 3 and the average rating is 3.6. So just like what I was saying. Okay, so this is perfect, except we also need things like image, and I think that's it. We need everything. We need everything from the product table, plus the review and the average rating. And so what we need to do is we want to go back and modify the query. So I'm going to go into definition, copy this query, come back to SQL and paste this thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say drop view, this view right here, copy this, and I'm going to say create view E underscore. Okay, that's the first thing. The next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we're getting the image as well as the description. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to add it manually. This is going to be P image as product image. I mean, it's kind of easy to see what's happening here, as well as P desk as product desk description. Okay, looks good to me. Let's go ahead and run this and see if it works. Invalid. The reason it's invalid because we forgot the semicolon to terminate the first query. Okay, success. Go back to our tables. There's the e-product views, and let's see how it looks. Okay, so now we have the description and the image as well as the other information. This is perfect. But this means that we need to change the way that we're getting the data in FlutterFlow, because we're no longer getting it from this table. We're getting it from a view. Okay, so now we need to go back into FlutterFlow and do a couple of things. The first, we need to go to settings, Supabase, refresh the schema here, and you're gonna see this e-product reviews. All right, and now if you go to views, you have e-product reviews, which has all the data here. So now let's go back into our UI, come back here, and for the product detail, we need to change the query. It's no longer e-products, it's e-products reviews. Okay, so the same filter, everything is the same. Product ID is equal to, yeah, we have one filter. That's all we need to do. Confirm. And we need to fix a couple of things here. And let's go ahead and fix this here. So this is name here, row product name. This is product description. And this here is the product image. All right. It looks good to me, except let's make sure that reviews is being done correctly. It's not. It doesn't have the filter because we need the filter, right? So we need to make sure that we're filtering the ID by the product ID equal to the parameter. Product ID here. No, that's incorrect. It should not be the ID. It should be product ID, not the actual row ID equal to product ID here. Confirm. All right, let's go ahead and reload this and let's see if it's doing what we expect it to do. All right, there's the app. Click on tripods, Manfrotto. And there we have it, Manfrotto tripod, the best tripod. Everything is here, except we forgot this aggregation and our this table is not being displayed correctly. Let's go ahead and get this aggregation working, and then we'll see why the table is not being displayed correctly. E-reviews filter, product ID equals to product ID. Yeah, that should be fine. Order by created at decreasing. Okay, let's fix this right here, and let's go ahead and do combine text. The first thing we're gonna do is this right here, and this is going to be the average rating. Okay, that looks good. Confirm. Let's close our parentheses, space, and this is going to be the number of reviews. Okay, and we're gonna say a products review row count, no further changes, and I'm just gonna put reviews. Let's see if that works. Let's go ahead and reload this. All right, there's the app, tripods, Manfrotto tripod, and there we have it. So everything is being displayed. We need to make sure this decimal is correct. That looks kind of weird. It should just be 3.7. 3 reviews, and we have the reviews. We still need to align it correctly, and we'll fix that in a second. But right now I want to make sure that this average rating is being formatted correctly. So we're doing a number format, and let's do a decimal here, and the decimal type is automatic. Confirm. Let's see if that works. All right, tripods, Manfrotto. There we have it. So that looks a little bit better. We still need to fix it, but the next thing I want to fix is this thing right here. Let's go ahead and fix this here. So we have a row here, and this row is being centered, and that's probably not the best idea in this case because it kind of throws off the text because we have a bunch of text. Now there's a couple of ways of fixing it. One way of fixing it is by creating two columns there. But a much easier way of fixing it is by simply removing this center alignment on the row and just doing a little bit of padding on the next element. So something like 30, maybe 100. Okay, so something like this, and you can do it on the first one, maybe 30, something like this. So let's see how this looks. You know, something quick and easy. All right, tripods, Manfrotto tripod. Okay, that looks a little bit better. There's still some issue here, and we're gonna fix that as well. And in fact, we probably don't need so much padding. So let's decrease the padding a little bit. Let's decrease the padding here. Let's make it maybe 50. I think that's gonna be better. We can make it even less, something like this, and then we can fix the overflowing issue like we fixed it previously as well. All right, there's the app, tripods, tripod. Okay, that looks better. That looks a lot better. We're gonna fix this as well. And let's take a look at this, see why that. And let me double check this real quick and make sure it's being displayed correctly. This row right here, reviews, text combo, average rating. Let's do a decimal type automatic. Here we can select the formatting. We can do decimal, but we can also do custom. Okay, and for custom, click here for documentation, and here it explains to you what's happening. So if you give this format, you're gonna get this back, and this is kind of what we want. We want it to be to 2 decimal places. So as you can see, the 0 is a single digit, and this number is a single digit omitted if the value is 0. So let's go ahead and try this right here. Copy this, paste this here. Let's go remove this and paste this here. Confirm. Let's go ahead and reload our app and see how that looks. All right, there's the app. Click on tripods, Manfrotto tripod, and it looks perfect. It's exactly what we wanted. 3.67, 3 reviews. Now we just have to fix this minor issue here. Now, the next thing that I want to work on is search functionality. So what I'm thinking is on this homepage here, I want to create a search bar where a user can type in a search of a product that they're looking for and get some possible search results with some possible matches, and then they're going to be redirected to another page that's going to list the search results, and they can click on the individual product and go to the detail page. Now, before we create the actual search UI, the search bar, we need to think about the search functionality. So in FlutterFlow, you can implement search chiefly 2 ways. The first way is like this built-in search that is done for you with FlutterFlow. So it's built in, it's not very robust. But in this tutorial, I want to implement a real search, right? This is going to be a real search engine that is going to be very fast and efficient, regardless of how many products you have. So if you have 10 products, it's going to be fast. If you have 10,000 products, it's going to be fast as well. And for that, you need to use a specialized tool. And so the tool that we're going to be using is called Algolia. And Algolia is a search and discovery platform. Okay, so this is the platform, one of many platforms that you can use when you want to have a really fast, high performance search in your app. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to sign up for Algolia. You can, they have a free plan that you can just use, which is sufficient for what we're doing now. So you don't need to pay anything or, you know, sign up for a paid plan or anything. And after you sign in, you are going to be on a dashboard that looks something like this. So you should have an app created here. So if you click here, and you click on see all, you should have an app here. So I already have an app here created. It's a free plan. We don't have any indices, no indexes. Usage is 0, records is 0, etc., etc. So it's a brand new app here that we can start kind of building on top of and integrating with FlutterFlow. Now, once you've confirmed that you do have an app here created automatically, which you should, if not, you can just click here, create a new application. You can go to overview, and the next thing that you want to do is you want to create an index. Okay, so you should be on search here, and here on the screen, you can create an index. So an index is an entity within Algolia where you import the data you want to search and perform queries against, right? So an index is essentially a data structure, if you will, that takes just regular data. So like, in our case, these are going to be records of products, and stores it in a way where it's very, very fast to find a specific product that you're looking for. This is the magic. It's in this index here. So we're going to create our first index here, and we're just going to call it products. And now it has gone on and it has created the index. Okay, so now here, the next thing that you want to do is you want to import the products into this index. So you can do it a couple of ways. If you click on import, you can add a connector, you can add manually, you can upload the file, or you can use an API. Now, in this tutorial, we're just going to upload a file that we're going to get from Supabase just to keep things simple. But, in a high performance, high availability app, you want to have an API that connects automatically to Algolia. And I'm going to show you a little bit later in the video how to do that. So now we need data to import into our index so that we can search these records. And the data that we're going to get is from Supabase. So you can head over to your Supabase account here. And what you want to do here is you want to go to the SQL editor. Okay, so if you go to the SQL editor, and what you want to do is you want to perform a query that gets data from your table. This is actually very, very simple, and anybody can do it. And all you need to do is type select asterisk from and then the table. So we're gonna type e-products because these are, this is the table that we want the user to search against. So when you type that, you want to execute it. And when you execute, you see the data. Okay, now the next thing that you can do is you can click here and you can download this data as CSV. Okay, this is very, very useful functionality here in Supabase, because not only can you import data when you create a new table in Supabase, you can just import CSV data, but you can also download CSV data, right? So as you can see, we have 3 products here. Okay, so we have all the fields and we have all the records here. So if I click here and I say download the CSV, it goes ahead and exports these records in a CSV format. Now, CSV stands for comma separated values. It's just, it's just a file with a header, row, and all the records separated by commas. That's really all it is. And so if you open the file, it looks like this. And as you can see, we have the top header row that contains the names of the fields separated by commas. And after that, we have the records. Okay, so we have 3 records, essentially 3 rows with each field separated by a comma. And they're in the exact same order as the header. So the system will know what is an ID, what is created at, what is category ID, because they come in a certain order, right, as specified by the header here. Okay, so now that we have this file, we can go back to Algolia, to this index here, click on upload records, upload file. And now it has presented this dialog box where it tells you to drop here or click here to select the file, and supports JSON, CSV, or TSV. So you all should know what JSON is. CSV is comma separated values. TSV is tab separated values. Okay, TSV is not very common. 99% of the time, it's going to be CSV. Okay, so it's giving us a JSON example, a CSV example, as well as a TSV example. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to drag and drop the file that we exported from Supabase. Okay, so I'm dragging the file right here, and it recognized it, and we're saying upload, and it says successfully uploaded the records. And now we can browse this index, and as you can see, this index has 3 records and the average record size, etc., etc. But the most important thing is that we can see the data here. Now, for each record, it has created something called an object ID, which is a way to easily and quickly index these records. And we can look at all the attributes, right? So these are all the attributes that were stored in our Supabase table. And right now they are here in Algolia. Now you can also test search here, right? So you can type something like Sony, press enter, and you see one record here, which is that Sony camera. If I type tripod, it gives us this Manfrotto tripod. And if I type, let's say Rode, it's telling us that one hit matched in 1 millisecond. So it's very, very fast. And you will notice the difference the more records you have. So if you have like 10,000 products, you have, a real production site, it's going to be lightning fast, which is why, it's recommended to use specialized products for different functionality in your app, right? Like for search, you want to use a specialized product. All right, so now that we have the data here, we've created the index, we've imported the data. The next thing that we need to understand is how exactly are we going to be accessing this data from inside of FlutterFlow. Now, if you click on settings and integrations here, this last icon here and on the left hand pane, and you scroll down, you see we have Algolia here. So if you click here, you should be able to potentially connect Algolia with FlutterFlow and FlutterFlow with Algolia very quickly and easily. But there's one issue here. It says here, add search to your app with Algolia. Algolia search in FlutterFlow is tied to your Firestore collections, okay? And we are not using Firestore here. Remember, we're using Supabase. And so as a result, we can't really use this integration here. So we need another way of integrating with Algolia. Fortunately, Algolia has lots of awesome ways of integrating with it, right? It's a very, very robust product. There's lots of ways to kind of connect to it. And one of the ways that you can connect with it is via APIs, as you could probably have already guessed. And so if you go back to the home page, you can click on documentation and you can learn about their API, right? And so you can type search API here and you can click here and you can learn all about their search API, which is what we're going to be using in order to connect from our FlutterFlow app to Algolia. And fortunately, it's actually very, very easy to use. So if you click on search endpoints here, you can see all the endpoints that you need to execute. You need to essentially send a request on in order to get the data. So we have the search index, poll, search index get, multiple, browse index, etc., etc. Lots of interesting things that you can do. And there's actually a sample request that you can use. So if you copy this and you can use a tool such as Rapid API for testing, all you need to do is go to File, Import, Text, paste this request here, which is exactly what I just did. And so I have this request here. And as you can see, this request, it has the headers. I'm using my API key. This is going to be yours. We have an application key, and you can get this application key very, very easily. Just come in here and click this button, copy, and you're going to copy this application key. This is also going to be unique per application, okay? Now, you also need to specify the index here, right? So it says indexes. This should be the name of your index. I actually have a different index. So if you click here, you can copy the name of the index. It's just products. Now, the body is very, very simple. We have a JSON object with params, and then you have your query. And here you can just specify query and the name of the product that you're searching for. So I can type Sony, and I get one hit here, but I can also misspell it. So I can put maybe 2 N's. And if I execute it, I still get a result. I still get a result. And as you can see, we have number of hits is 1. And as you can see, it even like highlights it, right? It gives us a little HTML formatting. This EM here is a way to format things for the browser. It's an HTML tag, and you see it found it. So if I type like A6700, it's going to highlight this A6700, and we still have one result. Now, if I type something like this, it's obviously not going to find it, and it's going to say number of hits is 0. And so the output is very, very useful, because not only do we have an array of hits, but we also have the number of hits. So we can easily display the number of hits and then display the actual results in our FlutterFlow app for the user. Okay, so if I go back to Sony, as you can see, now we have an array of objects, and we have one hit here and we have the original parameters. We also have the processing time in milliseconds. It took us 1 millisecond to, search these 3 records, which is obviously lightning fast, right? It can be faster than 1 millisecond, okay? So now that we've tested that this API here works, and you can easily, like I said, configure your API calls by simply using this API template here, and by replacing, what they have here, this API key, application ID, and application ID, you'll be able to easily implement the search and get it working. And if you're using a tool like I am, which is this tool that I'm using, Rapid API, then you'll be able to easily test your APIs before working with FlutterFlow. And I highly recommend testing your API calls before going into FlutterFlow and coding it there. Hey, so I really hope you are enjoying this comprehensive app tutorial, because there's a lot of interesting things that you may have seen, and there's a lot of interesting things that I'm going to be showing you in the rest of this tutorial. Now, if you're looking to level up your no-code game, you're interested in going to the next level, you're interested in building amazing apps, complex apps, production apps, or you want to start a business, you want to start an agency, you want to do consulting, you want to contract for somebody, or maybe you just want to learn a new skill that's going to be very useful, then you definitely want to check out Mastering FlutterFlow, which is my training when it comes to mastering FlutterFlow and building all kinds of amazing apps, from very simple to very complex. When you join Mastering FlutterFlow, you're gonna get access to step-by-step modules that teach you a specific topic. When it comes to FlutterFlow, they give you some examples, they teach you when you need to use this specific functionality and for what purpose. Plus, you will also get access to our private Discord community, where myself and other members will help you to deal with any FlutterFlow issues that you may encounter when it comes to apps that you're just looking to build now, or perhaps an app that you are working on already. So regardless of what your plans are, if you are serious about no code, if you want to turn it into a business, you want to make money with it, or you're just interested in honing a new skill for other reasons, then you definitely want to check out masteringflutterflow.com and learn more about the training, as well as get access to our private community. Plus, very important, that the training that is available at Mastering FlutterFlow is not static. It's continuously being updated with new features as they are released by FlutterFlow. So regardless of when you join, that training is live and constantly being updated with new features and functionality. So that training will never be outdated, and you're gonna have lifetime access to it. So if all of that sounds like something that's going to provide you with some level of value, then you definitely need to check out masteringflutterflow.com and consider becoming a member of our amazing community. All right, so now that we have Algolia configured, set up, and we have verified that everything works perfectly there, the next thing that you want to do is you want to start building the search functionality, as well as integrating your UI with this Algolia backend. And the first thing that I want to do when it comes to that is to set up the API call. So we're going to go into this API calls. We're going to add an API call. I'm just going to call it Search API. And we're just going to copy everything that I have here. So as you can see, it's a post request. So we're going to do post. We're going to specify this here, and we're going to go into body, JSON, copy this body here. And this is going to be a variable, right? So what I want to do is, well, first I want to save this. I want to go into variables, and I'm going to name this search query. And I'm going to say this is a string, is list as false, go back to body. And now, instead of Sony here, I can drag and drop this variable that we have just defined here. Okay. Now we still need to configure the headers. And so if we go to headers, I have this header right here. Let's go ahead and set them up. There are two headers. So the first one is here, and I'm going to paste my API key. Remember, your API key is going to be completely different, as well as your application key is going to be completely different. So keep that in mind. Paste this here. And it's also a good practice to also add this content type application JSON as well. Very good practice to do that as well. Hit save. And now what you want to do is you want to test it out. Very, very important search query. Let's say we put Sony test API, cool, and we get results. Okay, we get the results here, the hits, and we also have some summary information. So the next thing you want to do is you want to click on recommended, and you want to find the data that you need. So first we need the hits. This is a list. We're going to click selected here. And I also want to get some additional data. So maybe I want to get the number of hits. So if I scroll down, let's see, where's that number of hits? This one right here. So I'm going to select it right here. And I think that's about it. Later on, you can also do paging. You can do hits per page. There's lots of things that you can work with. But for now, I'm kind of happy with just this. So I'm going to go into selected here, and I'm going to give it special names so that we can reference them later inside the app. So this is going to be result list, and this is going to be, I'm just going to have it number of hits. Okay, we're gonna hit save, and now you can reference these in your app instead of going down and finding them from the raw request. Okay, all right, so now we know that the backend works, the data is there, the index works, the index is getting our search results. The next thing you want to do is you want to build out the UI, and we're going to be using this home page. And so what I want to do is in this column here, I want to add maybe a container, and I'm going to have it on top, and then inside the container I want to add a text field, get our container a little bit, something like this. Okay, and let's remove that underline. I'm not a big fan of that. This input border style, I'm just going to put none. Or maybe outline. Let's see how outline is cool. I really like outline. And now we can even give it a little bit of padding. So let's give it maybe a 10. All right, so now we have our label. Another thing that you want to do is maybe give it some inner padding. Let's do 10. Okay, that looks perfect. That looks really clean. Let's fix up the label, search, something like this. And the way that we can have the search execute is the user can just type enter. Okay, we can have a button. It's really up to you, but let's just keep it simple. Everybody understands search here. All right, so now we have our search bar here. Now, how is this gonna work? Well, the way I want it to work is the user types something, presses enter, and it's redirected to another page where we're gonna display a list view with the search results that we get back from the API. And the first thing I want to do is I want to create the other page where we're gonna redirect to so that we can do the navigation. So I'm gonna add a new page, and for this page, maybe we can do a list view, maybe something like this, and we'll just call it search results. Okay, create page, and now we have search results here, and let's fix it up a little bit. This should be maybe blue primary, this should be white, make this white, this should be white, and now we have this page. Let's call it search results. Okay, we got search results. We can delete this. So this is actually cool because we can reuse the search bar by adding this this magnifying glass back on the home page. So let's go ahead and delete this. We don't need any of this. Let's delete all these tabs here. This is actually a tab bar. And so what we want to do is we want to remove that widget there. We want to remove it, and we want to remove this widget. And now we have the list view here. So we have a couple of columns here. Do we need both of these columns? If I remove this remove widget, that is fine. Okay, so that is absolutely fine. And now we have a nice search results here. Now, in order for this page to be able to search, it needs to get the input query. So let's go ahead and configure this here. Top level, page parameter, add a parameter is going to be the search query. And this is just going to be string, and it's obviously required because otherwise we won't be able to search. So this is confirmed, and now we are getting the search query. Now this category should be okay, and we can also wrap it in a row so that we can align it properly, something like this. Let's go ahead and give it a little bit of, yeah, that looks kind of cool. Now we are seeing some errors here. Let's go ahead and fix it. There's some navigation. Let's delete that. Oof, get that. Let's delete all this. Now, when we redirect the user to this page, we have the search string, but we haven't performed the search yet. So that is what we need to do now. So if we click on this top level page here, we have the search query. We just need the actual search. We need to do the search. So we're going to go here. We are going to do on page load, add an action, and we are going to execute this API call. So what we want to do is we want to do this API call top level, search API, add the variable. The variable is this search query, and we're using this from the parameter. And now when the page loads, this API gets executed. Okay, we don't need any of this. We can just delete all that, and we just have this API call here. And now when this gets executed, it's going to get the data, it's going to fetch the results, and it's all going to be available here. Now, after we execute the search query, we get the results. The next thing that we need to do is we need to actually display the data. And so if we take a look at this page here, we have a lot of containers. What we need to do is we need to wrap this container in a list. So we're going to do wrap widget list view, and this list view is going to be fed with this data from the API call. Next thing you want to do is you want to come here to generate dynamic children, and you want to feed in the result from the API call to this list view. So you're going to click here, you're going to go to action outputs, you're going to select your API response, JSON body, and we need to get the list, right? Remember, we have that list, and you can get this result list right here. That's all we need to do. Confirm, and then you can give it a name. So result item or product item, confirm. Okay. So now this list view is going to be populated with each individual item in that list, right? So when we were doing those tests, over here, we got one item, right? So it's only going to have one item in this case. But if they search for something that matches, 3 items, we're going to have 3 items here. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to actually populate it with various items. Okay, so we have the image and we have the name of the product. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we just simply click on the image, we click on the path, and here we can select product item, and you want to select JSON path, and then you want to find what exactly do you want to display here. So if we go back to our API call, this is why it's important to kind of look at this data. You can see that we have this image here, right? So we have image, we have price, we have name, and we have desk. Very, very simple and very, very easy. We also have category ID, which is going to be important for displaying detailed information about this product. But we don't really need to display any detailed information because it's all in the index anyway, which is very, very helpful for us. So in this case, what we want to do is we want to display maybe the image, the name, and the price. So 3 things. Okay, so let's do that now. This is going to be image. Okay, this is going to be name, and let's do product item, JSON path name, and then we can display the price. So how do we want to display the price? Maybe, so we have text, we have a row here. So maybe we can have price underneath it. Okay, so I can add another text over here. So this text, I can wrap it in a column, and we can display the price underneath. So let's wrap this in a column, and then I'm going to duplicate this, and right below it, we're going to display the price. Let's give it a little bit of padding. That's too much, probably 10. Okay, and then we can have it maybe italic, maybe a normal, and let's do italic. Select italic here, and maybe a little bit smaller. So something like this, and then that's going to be the price. Now, we've made a lot of changes, and at this point, you want to test your app to make sure that everything works together, because the more things you do without testing, the higher the chance that something is not going to work, and you want to discover your bugs as soon as possible. And so at this point, let's go ahead and run our app, and let's see if we have any issues and how many issues we have, or if everything works perfectly. All right, here's our app. So let's say we type Sony, press enter, and nothing happens. Why doesn't anything happen? Well, let's come back here. We forgot to add the action. And so if you open this right here, Flow Editor on submit, you want to do navigation. Okay, so we're going to do navigation to search results, and you want to pass whatever they were searching for, this value, widget state text field, and that's it. And I just want to rename this text field to input. And so now when we type in the search query, press enter, we are going to be redirecting to search results, and that's going to execute. Let's go ahead and try this now. Let's refresh our app. All right, here's our app. So let's type Sony, press enter, and we are redirected, but we're not seeing the search results. All we are seeing is this. And if we go back to our app, we're essentially seeing these containers, which we need to delete, but we're not seeing the search results. And the reason we're not seeing the search results is that it displays the content before it's able to execute and get the results back. So we need to add a little bit of reactivity to our app. So let me show you how to do that. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to clean this up. So I want to delete all of these containers that we don't really need. Delete this container. Delete this, all of this extra stuff that we're not using, because we now have a list. that's generated dynamically. Okay, so now we just have this list here. Now if I refresh the app, we should not be seeing all that other stuff anymore. All right, type Sony, redirected. We're not seeing anything because we weren't able to get this stuff in time. It generates the page before it's able to get the results. But nevertheless, if you go to our API calls and we do response and test and we do Sony, you see we're getting results, but it just takes a little bit longer than we need in order to kind of display it on the page. And so what we need to do is we need to add a little bit of interactivity in your app. And so if you have any of these issues, you need to execute the search results, wait for the data to come back, and then display it right as the user is looking for the search results, right? This page needs to update itself. And the way that you can do it is by using page state. So if you go back to the search result here, this editor here, when we execute this API call, we need to save the data in page state. And that way we can automatically rebuild the page with the data once we have it. So let me show you how it works. So the first thing we need to do is go to search results, create page state. And for the page state, we're going to be storing the search results directly. So in this case, we can just do JSON search results state here. This is going to be a list. Click confirm. And now if we go back to our actions here, we're going to add a conditional, right? So the conditional here is this action outputs here, and we're going to say succeeded. When we know it has succeeded, we can save the results in page state. So we're going to add another action, type page, update page state, add a field, search results. And here we can do set value. And guess what the value is? This action outputs API response, but we're not done yet. JSON body, and we're going to do JSON path. And here we can do result list, confirm, and now we are saving page state. And you want to make sure you have this enabled here, rebuild current page. If it's false for some reason, this API call did not succeed, you can add an action, just do a snack bar, show snack bar, failed, fetching results, something like this. That's good enough. And now for the list view, what you want to do is instead of getting it from the API call, you want to get it from page state. So we're going to select this page state, which is a list of JSON here, and no further changes, okay, and give it a name. And now we have a list view that's being fed that page state that we saved from the API call. Let's go ahead and reload our app. All right, there's the app. Let's type Sony here. And guess what? We see the result. Look at that. It took some time. Let's try that again. Let's go back and let's say I type tripod. Okay, press enter. It's empty and it displays. You see how it rebuilds. And this is exactly what you want. Now, there's more things that you can do. You can also have a situation where for this list view, when it's empty, you can display something empty. So for instance, you can have an image, or a component here being displayed. So for instance, right here, what you can do is you can click on your new component and you can find something that's kind of similar. So maybe empty. Okay, so something like this. Use my theme, empty search results. Okay, create component and no search results, or loading no search results, something like this. And here you can change it, and we can delete that, we can delete that, we can delete that. And this you can change it to maybe a magnifying glass or search. Yeah, something like this. And then you can go back to search results, go to your list view here and have that widget show up, have that component show up. Select the component, empty search results. And now let's go ahead and reload the app. We should have really, really nice behavior. Okay, so here's our app. Let's say I type Sony. No search results. There it is. Look at that. Very, very cool, don't you think? Let's say I do road. There it is. Okay, very, very cool. Okay, let's say I type A6700. There's that Sony. Okay, so now that we have this here, and this should be the price, I guess we did not specify the right field. That's very, very easy to fix. There's still a couple of things that we need to do. We need to change this to price, and we need to have this redirect. If the user types on it, if the user clicks on it, it needs to redirect to the detail view. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We have this name. This should not be named. This should be price. Okay, price here. And let's go ahead and do a navigation action, navigate to product detail, and we need to pass the product ID, and we have the product ID, don't we? Of course we do. Product item, which is that JSON, and this should be JSON path, and I believe it's called ID, just ID. So this is what it should be, just ID right here, and that's going to redirect to the product detail view. Let's go ahead and reload our app. All right, so now let's say I type Sony. We are redirected. We have Sony A6700. It says 700, and this is probably the price. So if you come over here, price is 700, but we should probably format it. And there's a little trick to format it correctly that I'm going to show you in a second. And if we click on it, we get an error, unexpected null value. And the reason we're getting an error is something with the ID, right? So let's go ahead and try to fix the issue there. Let's see, are we being passed it correctly? There's the ID. It should be correct. Let's go ahead and debug it. Let me show you how I debug it. So what I do is I add another text, and here I want to display the ID. I want to make sure that it's correct. So if I run it now, is the ID gonna show up correctly or not? All right, there's the app. I type Sony, and we have ID 1, but if you redirect it, now it's displaying correctly. So there was probably a little bug somewhere, but the point is it now works correctly. So if you have these issues, reload the app a couple of times, okay? The reason I did that is I wanted to make sure that ID is properly being pulled from the record and we're passing it correctly. As you can see, it's right here. So that was just some minor issue. And if you experience that, don't give up. Just, reload the app a couple of times. It happens, okay? So now we have the search results, and the next thing I want to do is I want to show you how to format this correctly, okay? So if you have this price here, you see this is a text, right? It's a string, and if FlutterFlow thinks this is a string, it's not going to give you an option to format it correctly. And so what you need to do is you need to convert it to an integer. You need to tell FlutterFlow that this is actually an integer, and the way that you can do it is by using a text expression, this code expression here, excuse me, right? So what you want to do is you want to pass your value and then return it as an integer, right? So we're going to add an argument. This is going to be a string. Just call it var1. And here I'm going to pass it as this JSON path price. And so we're passing a string into a string. It's expecting a string, but we are returning an integer. And here what you can do is you can use an expression like this in parse, and then you can specify the value that's coming in. Check errors, should be no errors. And now FlutterFlow understands that this is now an integer, okay? Because the return type is an integer. We're gonna click confirm. And if you scroll down, you see now we have these options that we didn't have before. So now we can format it, we can do custom format, display as currency, confirm. Okay, so now it understands that this is an integer, and that's why it's giving you these formatting options. Let's go ahead and reload our app. All right, let's go ahead and type Sony. There's Sony 700 and it's formatting correctly, except it's a little off. Let's go ahead and fix this. It's this thing. It's a little off. And why is it off? Because of this. Okay, now it's fine. That was easy. Let's go ahead and reload this. All right, type Sony, press enter, and what do we see? Okay, so now it's a little bit too much. Let's give it a little bit of padding. Let's give it a little bit of padding. So something like this. All right, let's type Sony. And there it is, 700. And you can click on it and get redirected to the detail page where we don't have any reviews. And later on, we definitely do not want to display this nor this if there are no reviews. Okay, so we definitely need to fix it, but that's a minor issue that's very, very easy to fix. Now, the next thing that I want to work on is a very, very important functionality, and that is the cart, the shopping cart functionality. And so primarily what we want to happen is we have this product detail. A user can buy now, which is going to go directly to the checkout page, or they can add to cart. And this is where we need to handle a bunch of cases. So we need to be able to add to cart. We need to be able to display the cart, maybe display the number of items here. And also we want to create a view cart page, the shopping cart page, where they can see the items that they're purchasing and maybe remove the item, change the quantity, stuff like that. This is very, very important functionality. And a lot of people are not sure how to properly implement this so that you have this shopping cart functionality inside of your app, but you also have the ability to do a checkout to Stripe or, Shopify or something else, and send those products to be, processed for credit card processing and fulfillment, things like that. So let's go ahead and build this out. Shopping cart is a perfect example of app state. We need to have the state, and it needs to be throughout the app. It's not page state because it's not going to be only available on one page. It needs to be available throughout the entire app. This is as best use case of app state that I can pretty much think of. Although, app state is used everywhere, but shopping cart is like the quintessential example of app state. Okay. So if you come over here, we can create an app state variable to hold the individual items in the shopping cart, but we don't have the items yet. And so for that, we need to create a data type. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a product data type that consists of various fields, and that for the app state, it's going to be a list of that data type. Okay, so let me show you how it's done. We're going to call this data type product type, and we're going to add a bunch of fields. We don't need to have all the fields that we're storing in the product. We just need the fields that are important to us. Essentially, these are going to be fields that we're going to be displaying on the view card page, right? Because we're not going to just store an ID and then load up all these values from a database. Why do that when we can just store as much as we need in app state? Okay, so let's start with an ID. This is the product ID. Let's say product ID integer. I'm gonna also add product name, or in fact just name. String. I'm going to add an image, which is a URL, and this is going to be string here. Next, I also want to store the quantity, right? So the idea is they not only can add a product or various products, but they can increase a quantity for a specific product. So I'm just going to put quantity here, and that's going to be on the product level. Okay, this is going to be an integer here again. Okay, so now we have product ID. In fact, let me go ahead and change that to ID so that it's all consistent. ID is integer, and so we have ID, name, image, and quantity. So that looks good. We also need the price, okay, so that we can calculate the total of the shopping cart total for on the view cart page as well as on the checkout page. So the price is going to be a double, and that way we can calculate the total sum because we have all the data here. We have the price, we have everything. All right, so that looks good. Next thing you want to do is you want to head over to app state, and you want to create this state called cart. So I'm just going to put it, in fact, let's call it shopping cart. And this is going to be a data type of product type is list. Okay, so now we have a shopping cart, which is a collection of these product type structures, data structures that are going to be filled in with real product data. Okay, so now we have this. Now let's go ahead and implement this, the functionality, adding to state, adding to shopping cart, displaying shopping cart, etc., etc. First thing I want to do is I want to add to shopping cart right here. I want to implement this functionality. For that, we're going to add an action, update app state. You want to select shopping cart, and now you can do a bunch of things with it, right? You can set a value, clear a value, add to list, insert at index, so insert at a specific place in the list, remove from list, remove update item. What do we want to do? Well, what we want to do is we want to add to list. Okay, that's exactly what we want to do. Value to add. Okay, so the value, we need to create a new data type, right? Because we're creating this data type from the data that we have here on this page. So we're going to say product type. And now you want to fill in the fields, right? So you want to fill in all the fields. Now for the ID, we are being passed this product ID. We can also get it from the data itself, but this is the only element that's being passed as a parameter. Okay, and you want to add the fields, the rest of the fields. So name is this e-product reviews, which is where this is the view that helps to populate the data for this detail view, right? So we're gonna say product name, image. So for quantity, I'm just gonna put 1 right now. Later on, we are going to change, we're gonna be doing some things with the quantities, but right now I'm just gonna put 1 to keep it simple. Price, what is the price? Do we have the price? You see, we don't have the price here. We don't have the price in this view, which means that we need to rebuild the view to display the price. And anyway, price is important here. So I'm going to skip price for now because, well, we don't have access to price. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 0 just for the price right now, and that's it. Now we have all the information in order to create this new product type. Okay, I'm going to click confirm. Okay, so we've just created a product type on the fly, right, while the app is running, and then we add it to our app state. Okay, this is the power of FlutterFlow. And here, what's nice about it is that we can rebuild the current page. And the reason you might want to rebuild the current page is if you want to display something having to do with app state. So the idea is this app bar here, maybe we want to display something here. So in this app bar, maybe we want to display a shopping cart, right, that's available throughout the app. So what's nice about app state is that it's reactive. So we can update app state and then we can rebuild the whole page, and this will automatically be, you know, the new value, right? Because it's just going to list the number of items in the app state. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I can do is I can wrap this widget text in a row, and then I can add another text here, and let's say I want to, I don't know, do something like this. Okay, that looks good. Let's make it text color white. And this thing here, we can just list, you know, number of items in the shopping cart. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a text combine text. And what we can do is I can just put something like this. We can change it later, and here we can put shopping cart, and all we want to do is number of items. That's all we want to do. Okay, so now it's going to say items, number of items. And remember, when we add the item here, we have this rebuild current page. So this is automatically going to be refreshed. So initially it might be 0, but then it's going to get refreshed. As we keep adding it, it's going to get refreshed. All right, so let's go ahead and reload our app and see if that functionality works as expected. All right, so here's our app, and let's say we type Sony, and we have our Sony. We click on the Sony, and now this thing, it says 0. You can't really see it there, but if we add it to app state, it kind of changed, right? It says 1. Let me go ahead and fix that. Obviously in production, you're not going to see this, but let me go and fix that so that we at least see it. So let me take this row. Let's do something like this. Okay, let's go ahead and reload this instance here so that you can see it, because it's being blocked by that overlay that says debugging. All right, so let's say user wants a Sony camera. They type, choose their Sony. You see it says items 0. Add to cart, items 1. You see if I add another item to cart, items 2. Okay, and now we have this really beautiful architecture, is that we are adding things to app state. So we have these values in memory, right? It's available throughout the app, but it's reactive. So this automatically gets updated when app state changes. Very, very powerful functionality. Okay. All right. So now that this functionality works as expected, the next thing that I want to do is I want to create a view cart page. So if they click here, they can go directly to the view cart page where they can see all the items and maybe the quantities of a particular item in there, so that they can take a look, maybe remove some items, maybe change the quantity, and if they're happy, they can go to the checkout. So now let's go ahead and create this new view cart page. So if you come over here, this new page, there's some really good templates that we can use. So let's take a look. This is a cool template right here. Let's see if there's some cool ones. That's a cart template. Okay, this is a cool one. It has quantity as well. They all have quantity. Okay, so how about this one? Use my theme cart. All right, so now we have our shopping cart. Let's go ahead and add an app bar here. Let's go ahead and change the background color of the app bar. Primary blue. Let's make this so it stays consistent. All right, so now we have our shopping cart. So let's go ahead and make sure that we can display the elements, and then let's work on the quantity and a couple of other things that I want to do. So this list view here, we want it to load from our app state. So we're going to click here, go to app state, select shopping cart. Okay, and here that's it. No further changes. Confirm. And the next thing that we want to do is we want to work with the individual items. So cart item here, click confirm. Okay, now here we can display the individual fields for the specific widgets here. So let's start with image, cart item, data structure field, and we cannot display the image because the image is of different type. And so we need to fix that. We're going to get back to it in a second, but we can do the other ones for now. So text, cart item type, data structure field. This is going to be price, data structure field, price. And let's format it as well. Display as currency. And that looks good. Let's go ahead and add and create this delete item button here that's going to delete the items from the shopping cart. And so here you can add an action, and you're going to type app state, update app state, shopping cart. And what do we want to do? We want to remove from list at index, right? We want to remove a specific value, index and list. Okay, that's it. So it's going to remove this whole thing, and we still need to fix image. We're going to fix that. We need to fix the we need to do the calculation. That's also easy to do. We just need a custom function for that. Let's go ahead and see if this works. And before we can do that, run our app, we want to make sure that we can get to it. So search results and detail page. Actually, let's go ahead and have this clickable, and this is going to navigate to the cart. All right, looks good, looks good. Let's go ahead and reload our app or create a new session. All right, there's the app. Let's say I want a Sony. There's the search results. Click on the Sony here. We want to add to cart. There's the cart. Click here, and we see the Sony in the cart. We don't have the price displayed correctly. I think we just didn't have the right field, but it's showing up, right? And if we do this, we have deleted it, right? And it's not there anymore. So if we go back, items is 0 again, right? So we can add to cart, click here, and now it's back. Now let's go ahead and fix the price. Also, I want to change the quantity and make sure that everything works with the quantity as well. So if we go back, this is the price. Yeah, the price is being set correctly. That's right. We don't have the price on the detail view. So what we need to do is we need to go back to Supabase, and we need to change one of our views, the detail view, so we have the price. And anyway, like I said, this is a good field to have on the detail view. So this e-product reviews, this needs to have the price as well. So let's go ahead and add that right now. Very, very easy definition here. Copy this, go to SQL editor, paste it. And what I want to do is, first I want to rename this view. So I'm going to do a drop view, and then I want to call it, I want it to be prefixed product detail, because you want the view names to be kind of a one-to-one to the actual screen, right? So this is e-product detail view, and now I'm going to add a price right here. So p price as product price. All right, let's go ahead and execute this. Success. Go back to our list and let it reload. There it is, detail view, and that should have the price for the products now. All right, there it is, product price and all the review information, the aggregate as well there. All right, let's go back to FlutterFlow. Let's refresh our schema. Supabase get schema, and now if you scroll down, we have this e-product detail view. Click on it, and we have the price here. The prices here. All right, so now we have a bunch of errors there. Let's go ahead and fix this. Let's go ahead to our product detail, edit backend query table, because we changed the name of the view, and that is why everything kind of was thrown off. Product detail view, single row, everything is fine. Okay, now everything is good, and we have no issues. Okay, the only thing that I want to change is, obviously we have the price now, so we need to make sure that we're actually creating the right product. So it's price, quantity is 1, and now we have the price. So this product detail view, price. Okay, so now we have the price. So now if we reload and we add a product to our shopping cart, the price is going to be saved this time, and it's going to be displayed properly. Okay, let's go ahead and reload this. All right, I want a Sony camera. There's my Sony camera, add to cart, one item, click here, and there's $700 camera in our shopping cart. All right, so the app is starting to come together, except there's one issue that I want to fix. So if we go and find a product here, and let's say I add this to cart, I add it, and I come here, I see this product here, quantity is 1 because that's hard-coded. And if I go back and I add it again, you see this product, it's duplicated, right? And quantity is 1 for each one. And so what we want to do is, we don't want to see these duplicates. We want to just increase the quality, right? It's just going to be more organized, because I don't know any e-com store that, you know, if I had like 20 of these products, I'm going to be seeing a lot of them here. They're all going to be as one line item, but the quantity is going to be different. And so that's what we need to do right now. We need to make sure that we are increasing the quantity for a specific product instead of adding a brand new product product to the shopping cart, okay? And primarily, we need to fix how this add to cart button works, right? So if you go back to the UI builder, and you click on this add to cart, we open it up, it has one action. And so what it's doing is it's adding a product that we're viewing on the detail page to the app state, and it's doing it regardless whether that product exists in the app state already or not. So what we need to do is we need to check, does that product with that product ID already exist? If it does, just increase the quantity. If it doesn't, then add that product to the app state. So let's do that right now. And there's a couple of ways of doing it, but regardless how you do it, you need a condition. So what we need to do is we need to add a condition, and we need to make sure it's above this. So this condition is going to be here, and this condition is going to decide whether we are going to be updating the quantity or adding a product altogether. And now we need to create a condition. And the easiest way to create this condition is by creating a custom function that does exactly what we wanted to do. So I'm going to click here, I'm going to type custom, create new function. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to create a new function, and I'm going to call it find product. Now, the way this function is going to work is it's going to take in the app state, which is essentially a list of products that's already in our shopping cart, and it's also going to accept the current product ID. And so that way it can compare, you know, where on the detail page is the current product ID already in the app state, is one of those products that's already in the app state. If not, then add it. If it is, then update the quantity. And so that's kind of what we need to do. And so this function is going to take two arguments. It's going to take the app state. And so I'm just going to say app state here. And this is obviously a list. It's going to be a list of this data type, that's product type. Okay. That's the app state. And the second argument is the current product ID. And so I'm going to say current. Okay. And this is going to be an integer. And now we have two arguments. And what this function is going to return, it's either going to return a current, the index of that product that we found, because we need it when we update the quantity, or it's going to come back with -1, because anything else, 0, 1, 2, 3, that's an index. -1 cannot be an index. An index is anything from 0 to whatever, and anything less than 0 cannot be an index. And so it's going to come back with -1 if it did not find it. So it's going to come back with an integer. And I used ChatGPT to actually build this function very, very easily. And this is what I got back, this very, very quick function. And so what this function is doing is it's essentially cycling through all the elements in app state and comparing the current element that we have in the app state in this loop to the current product ID. If it does find it, it just comes back with an index. And if this does not find it, it just returns -1. Okay, that's pretty much it. We're going to save this function. And now we have this function here. So now if I can click here, I can search for this function type, and we have this find product. Now we can't select find product because find product returns an integer, and this condition expects a Boolean, true or false. So what we need to do is we need to wrap this thing in a condition. So I'm going to select single condition. And now I can find my function. So it's find, and I'm going to pass my parameters. So I'm going to pass app state, which is right here, shopping cart, confirm. And the integer is going to be this page parameter. And what we need to do is we need to see if this function is equal to -1. If it's -1, that means we did not find the element, so we need to create a new element. If it did find it, then it's going to come back with the integer, and then we can update that specific index of that element, update the quantity, so namely increase the quantity this time. And so I'm going to say find product is equal to -1, and essentially what this means is that we did not find it. Okay, so if we did not find it, we need to create a new one. So this action here creates a new one. We can put it right here. So I'm going to do copy, and now we have an action that's going to create a new line item, a new product in the app state if this comes back with -1, which means it didn't find it. Okay, and so this thing, I'm going to change action 1 to create new add new product, okay, to cart, so that I know, I can kind of see and know what's going on. And this thing is going to say be called did not find product does not exist in state. Okay, so that I know exactly what's happening. Okay, so we can delete this here. And the next thing that we need to do is we need a condition or an action that gets executed if we do find the existing product that we're trying to add again in the app state. And so here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an action, update app state, select shopping cart. In this case, what we want to do is we want to update item at index. Okay, we just want to update that specific item, and we know the item because we have a function that finds the item. Find product. Okay, so now we can find pass the values again. App state, there's app state, and there's current product ID. There's this product ID here. Confirm. And we know this function is not going to be -1, because if it's -1, then this is going to execute. If it's not -1, then this is going to execute. And so now we can find the exact product that already exists. And the update side, we're going to do update fields. We're going to select the field quantity. And here what's nice about it is that we can increment it, right? I really like this feature. I think it was added fairly recently. I know this feature wasn't there all the way in the beginning. And then we can just increment it by 1. Okay, done. Okay, so now we have a really nice flow that instead of creating new products of the same type or exactly same product, it's going to update the quantity. All right, now we need to test it out. Let's go ahead and test this out. What do we have? Custom function needs to be compiled. Let's go ahead and compile this. Should be no issues. Okay, that looks good. Let's go ahead and run this. Go ahead and reload our app. All right, there's the app. Let's say I want a Sony something, Sony camera. I'm going to add it to cart. See, I've just added it to cart right here. Now, if I add it again, it does not increment the total items, but it does increment the quantity. We still need to change so it takes into account the items, and we're going to do that later. Now, if I click on this, we see we have this here, and now we just need to display the quantity. So let's go ahead and fix that right now so that we can see that this works. All right, come back here, and what we want is that cart right here. And so you see this container, it's not letting it show up because we have it here, and as you can see, it's out of the view, and that's because the container has a height, a fixed height. We're going to remove the height, and now the quantity is there. So let's go ahead and do combine text. Let's do quantity and add another text, and this is going to be cart item data structure field, and this is going to be quantity. All right, confirm, and let's go ahead and reload this, and hopefully that quantity will be nicely displayed, and then we can take into account the quantities, not just the products, to calculate the total number of items, and we can do that with a custom function. All right, here's our app, and let's say I'm still looking for that Sony. I really want to buy it, but I'm not sure. Maybe this time I'm going to buy it. Okay, so there's that Sony, there are the results, and we don't have any items right now, so I'm going to click add to cart. We have one item. I'm going to click add to cart again. We still have one item. We need to fix that, but if we go to the shopping cart, we have quantity 2, right, which is a lot nicer than having like a million duplicates essentially, right? Let's click on add to cart again, go to cart, quantity 3. So that's really clean, really nice behavior. And mind you, I mean, if I go somewhere else, let's say I go back, and let's say I go to a microphone, I want to buy a microphone. Well, I can add it to cart, the cart updates, and we have a microphone here. We still need to fix the images here, which is very simple, but now I really like that quantity is there. So now it's a little bit more organized, and we can work with quantities now, right? And when it comes to displaying, not displaying duplicate, but also maybe updating quantity, removing quantity, things like that. But right now, what I want to do is I want to make sure that these items is taking into account the quantity. So it's not just displaying the unique products that I'm buying, but also everything together. So in this case, it's four items, right? So this should display 4. And we can do that with a custom function. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Come back here, add a custom function, and this is going to be count total, okay, total items. And we're going to return an integer, and we are going to take in the app state. Okay, this is a list of this data type, product type, okay? And just like how we were doing it before, we're going to do something similar. I'm going to paste this thing here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through the app state, can add up all the quantities together, and that's going to give us a nice total, okay? And so I'm going to create a variable. So really quick, I'm just going to say total equals to 0, and then here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sum all the quantities from the product. So app state index, and then this is quantity. Okay, and we're going to return this total here, and we're going to save this function, We're going to compile it, and hopefully it's going to give us back what we are looking for. Okay, come back here. And now if we go to the detail page here, product detail and the items, we don't want to just display the text, this num items. We want to use our custom function. And so it's going to be count total items. We're going to pass here, confirm, 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 and hopefully it's going to work as expected. Let's go ahead and reload our app. All right, there's the app, Sony. There's our beautiful Sony camera, 0 items, add to cart, 2 items. We can click here and quantity is 2. We can add more items, add to cart. Now it's displaying the correct number. And of course, if we add a different product, let's say a microphone, 3 items, add to cart, we have 4, and this works as expected. So now our custom function is ensuring that we are displaying the right sum, the right total number of items that we have, not just, the number of unique items. So we have 3 here, 1 here, that's 4, which is exactly what's being displayed. Next, I want to talk about the confirmation page. So as we build the cart page, we have this checkout link here. Okay, so when they click on checkout, it's going to connect to Stripe. It's going to do all that. And then it's going to redirect them to the confirmation page where it's going to say something like, thank you for purchasing, expect an email, etc., etc. Now, before we can do the confirmation page, we still need to fix these sums here. Okay, so we need to make sure that the sums correspond to the actual sums here. And for that, we need to create a custom function similar to the one that we did that counts the total items. Okay, so I'm gonna create a custom function that will sum up all the prices of all the products. So the function is going to be called total sum. Okay, and it's going to give us back a double, and it's going to take in the app state, and the app state is a list of data type, product type. Okay, so now we have the app state coming in. We need to sum up everything and return the actual sum, and that's going to be very, very similar to what we had here. So on this count total items, it's going to be very similar. We just need to modify a couple of things. So we're going to come back here, and this is going to be the sum. We're going to start at 0, and then we're going to cycle through all the elements, and we are going to take the price and multiply it by the quantity. So if the quantity is 1, it's just the price. If the quantity is more than 1, then we need to multiply it. And so we're going to keep adding to the sum, and here we're going to take the quantity and we're going to multiply it by the price. Okay, very, very simple. Save this, and now we just need to compile it, and very, very simple and very effective. And like I talked about before, a lot of the custom functions you're going to be building, most of them are going to be a couple of lines. Okay, there's going to be situations where they're going to be a little bit more complex, and you can use ChatGPT for that. But in many, many cases, I noticed they're going to be just a couple of lines, 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, things like that. Okay, so in this case, it's very, very simple and easy. And now we can go back to our app, and we can list this number here. So it says find this text field here, this text field right here, this thing right here, this text field here, and it basically says check out, whatever the amount is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do combine text, paste that here, paste this here, take this, paste that there, and we're going to do it like this. Parentheses, and this is going to be the sum, custom function. And the only thing we need to do is pass app state. That's really all it needs. And now we can format it because it gives us back a double. And so we can say we want a custom format, display as currency, confirm. Okay, and so now this checkout here on the my cart page is going to calculate the real sum, and here we can also do the total. In fact, let's not calculate the taxes. That's pretty simple to do. Let's delete this base price. We don't really need that. And here for this total, this price summary, what is this? This is a column, and this total is also going to use that custom function, total sum. Let's go ahead and no changes. And let's format it as a currency, which It is a currency. Okay, so there we have it. So now we know how it's going to be displayed. Now let's go ahead and test these changes to make sure that everything is being displayed correctly before creating the confirmation page. All right, so here's our app. Let's go search for that Sony again. There's our Sony. No items in the shopping cart. Let's add an item. And we click on shopping cart and we have Sony 700, total is 700. So as you can see, that is being updated correctly. If we also add it again, 2 items, 1400, 700 times 2. And let's say we add another product here, let's say a microphone, okay? Add this microphone, add to cart, 3 items, 1550. So 700 times 2 is 1400 plus 150, that's 1550. So as you can see, that sum works perfectly and it's also reactive. So if we are doing anything on this page is going to rebuild because app state is being rebuilt and this thing is going to recalculate. So it's a very, very versatile option. And also we are displaying 1550 here in the checkout because we're using the same function. So let's go ahead and create the flow from the checkout to the actual confirmation page. Let's go ahead and create a new page. And I looked at some of the templates and I don't see a confirmation page like your product has been purchased or these products have been purchased. I don't see anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a blank page, confirmation, and I'm just going to say confirmation or congratulations, something like that. Congratulations. And here we can just do something like, let's center it, and let's also center this in a row. Center, let's make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, bring it down, and we can do some padding. All right, so it's like something like this. Congrats on your purchase. Something like this, and we can also add another text to the column here, and so that's going to be below it, and put something like, no, this is too much, 30. And we can put something like, you will receive a confirmation, an email confirmation as well. All right, so you can pretty much list anything that you want on this page. It's really up to you. You can send a sum from the previous page. You can list anything that you want, and maybe we'll do something with this page a little bit later, but right now I just want to create the flow. So this container here, I don't think we need this height, something like this, and let's see if we can maybe center it. Okay, that looks better. Or maybe we can do it from the top, from the bottom. Okay, now it's nicely centered. And maybe we do not need it. We don't need that much. So maybe 20, something 20. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now this whole container, we can make clickable, right? Add an action, navigate to confirmation. Okay, and you can create parameters, send a sum. You know, you can also display the app state if you want as well. And so when they click on it, that's going to redirect to the confirmation page. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to store the order items, right? Because we want to have a history of the orders. And if you recall, we actually talked about it in the beginning of this tutorial when we talked about how a user is going to have orders, and each order record here is going to have a one-to-many relationship, and you're going to be storing order items. And so if we go back to Supabase here, we have this orders table, right? It's this table here that's linked to the user with some nodes as well. And we have these order items. Okay, so these order items are the individual orders, right? And these are going to contain the product IDs. And now, in fact, as we are developing this app, I realized that we also need to store the quantity as well, because we are going to be storing the product ID, but that product could be purchased 2 times or 3 times, or you want maybe 3 of those products. And so we have the order ID that's linked to that order, that main e-orders here. And we have the product ID that's linked to that e-products, but we also need a quantity. And so I'm going to add a quantity field here. And this is going to be a very, very simple field. I'm just going to make it numeric, and that's about it. And so that way, we can also define and store how many pieces of that specific product the customer purchased. Okay, so there we have it. So now we have this table here, orders, which has a one-to-many relationship to order items. And so now the idea is, after they click on checkout, we have this flow to confirmation. But before we navigate to confirmation, we're going to be creating an order record in the orders table and take that unique ID and then use that when we are actually creating the order items. Okay, because we know all the order items. We have the quantities, we have everything in the app state. So we can go through the app state and create individual records in the system for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that right now. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a new order record so that we have that order ID. And for that, you can just come in here and you can go into Supabase, insert row, and table is e-orders, right? And you can just set the fields, which fields that we need. So we have ID, created at, we have user ID, and we have node. So we need to fill out all of these fields, and we need to make sure we have this user ID, because this is the user ID to the user extra table. It's not a user ID for the it's not the authenticate, it's not that user ID that's that is the main in the main table. It's not that main user ID. This is the other user ID because we decided to use that auxiliary table. And so we don't have that user ID. So we need to make sure we pull that information from the database just before we save it. But everything else, nodes, I had nodes there. We can create another field for nodes so that when they have the cart, they can enter some nodes and some extra information, maybe for the delivery, for the courier, for delivery, for the merchant, etc., etc. So all of this needs to be filled in. So let's go ahead and get this data first. And what I suggest is we can add a kind of a nodes field right below this thing here. So we have a list view. We have this list view here, and just below it, we can add nodes, right? So this is going to be in this column here. So I'm gonna add this text field here, and I'm gonna put it right here. Okay, so this is going to be our nodes field, and we can also do maybe min lines 3, max lines 5, because it's going to be a nodes field. Maybe they want to type an essay, a paragraph, etc., etc. And I'm going to say input nodes, and this is going to say label is going to be nodes, order nodes, or something like. Okay, so something like this, and then they can type that in, and they'll be able to share some of the extra information with the merchant. All right, so we have the order nodes. We also need the user ID of that table so that we can link it correctly. And we can get it anywhere. We can get it on any level as long as it's available at the checkout. So we can even get it here on the cart level if you want. So we can come here, we can add a backend query, Supabase, and we can do a e-user info, we can do single row, and we can do a filter where user ID is equal to this authentication user ID right here. Okay, this is single row, so it's one record because it's a one-to-one relationship. We're not going to get multiple records, and we're going to say confirm. And now when we come here, we have everything that we need. So this insert row, we don't need ID. We don't need created at because they're going to be done automatically, but we need this user ID, and we can just get it here. Okay, this is our user ID and nodes. We can just get it from the widget state, input nodes. Okay, so that is there. And now this thing is going to come back with the order ID. So this is going to come back with the order ID. And now we need to create the individual order numbers for every element in the app state. Okay, so our app state is a list of different products and their quantities. So we need to cycle through that list. And for each line item, we need to create a new record in Supabase. And the way that you can do it is you can create a loop to do it. So we're going to have a loop here. And the way this loop is going to function is it's going to look at every element and add that as a record in that orders items table. Okay. Now, before we can get this loop to work, we need a loop variable. Okay. And we're going to have that as a page state variable here. So we're going to come back here, and this is going to be a page state variable for that loop. So we're going to call it current product ID, and we're not going to use it anywhere except in that loop. And so we're going to say this is an integer. It's always going to be an integer. Initial value is going to be at 0. We're going to say confirm. And now for this loop action here, we can create a Boolean that would serve as a condition of whether we should continue that loop. And we should continue that loop until we list all the elements in the app state. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a condition. What we want to do is we want this loop to continue while that variable is less than the total number of items, because it starts at 0, that's the first item. And when it becomes equal to, we want the loop to stop because we won't be able to access the element. It always needs to be less than the total number of items, okay? So we're going to say current product ID is less than the total number of items. So we're going to go into app state here, select this number of items, okay? So as long as it's less, we can access the value. When it becomes equal to, we need to break out of the loop. And while the loop is going here, so if it's 3 items, it's going to go 3 times. If it's 10 items, 10 products in the loop, it's going to go 10 times. We want to do a Supabase insert. We want to insert a row into the order items table. And so let's go ahead and add all the fields. So we have order ID and we have the product ID, but we also have the quantity. We just didn't refresh our schema. So let's go ahead and refresh the schema real quick. Supabase get schema. And now let's take a look. And we have quantity here as a double. Okay. All right. Let's go back and let's come here. All right. And now we can add another field, quantity. So now quantity is available. So we can remove these first two. Order ID, we have the order ID, right? Because we got it from the action outputs, right? This order ID that we just created. So we can get the ID here. Now, the product ID here is going to be the current product that's in this loop here, right? So what we want to do is we want to go into app state, select this, and we want to do item at index, and the index is going to be this loop variable, right? Come over here, this is going to be this loop variable, this page state, current product ID. And if you hover over on this index, you see items are 0 indexed. That means from 0 to something. And now that we selected the actual product, we can do a data structure field and select the ID, confirm. Okay, and the same thing for the quantity, the same exact thing. In fact, can we copy this? We can just do this right here, paste it, except we want to select quantity here. Okay, confirm. Okay, so now this thing is going to loop, and for every item in the app state, it's going to create a new record in our Firebase. And then it's going to navigate to confirmation. Now, before we run our app, let's double check if our row level securities, the RLS policies are correct. So we have orders here. Let's take a look if we need to set up RLS policies before we can write to this table. And as you can see, we have no active RLS policy. So let's go ahead and create an RLS policy real quick. And we'll do the same for the order items table as well. New policy. Let's do allow all. True, review, save. Okay, next, let's go ahead and take a look at order items. We'll probably need to do the same thing. So as you can see, no active RLS policies, new policy, all true, review, save policy. All right, so now that we have the policies in place, let's go ahead and run our app and see if everything is fine. All right, so here's our app. Let's say I want that Sony camera. I think I'm gonna buy it this time, I promise you. Click here, add to cart, 3 of them, go to shopping cart, 3 quantity, 3 items times 700, 2100, and then we can leave a note. Please leave the delivery by the door, something like this, contactless delivery, right? And now we can click on checkout, and when we click on checkout, it's not being redirected to the navigation. So there's a problem somewhere. And if we go to our database, you can see it's creating lots and lots of records. That means there's a loop that's going, but that loop is not ending. And the reason it's not ending is because we forgot to update the state, right? So what we need to do is we need to do a call here, and then we need to increment that variable here, right? So we need to update this page state, update page state, this right here. And what we want to do is we want to increment it, okay? Because that way it's always the same and it's not updating. This is a very, very common problem. So make sure you fix this. So let's go ahead and reload our app. And so now if we run the app, we should be able to see those records created properly in Supabase. All right, so here's our app, and let's go ahead and buy that Sony again. Click here, and let's go ahead and add to cart. Let's take a look at the cart. We have 700 times 3, 2100. Let's add some notes about this Sony A6700, and let's go ahead and do a checkout. Once we do a checkout, it says congrats on your purchase. You will receive an email confirmation as well. And now let's go ahead and see what happened in our Supabase. So the first thing is this table e-orders. We have one record. Okay, so we have this record with the notes. User ID for some reason is empty, so we'll have to fix that, but at least the record is there. And this is order ID number 5. And if we go to order items, we should see one line item with a bunch of quantities. So this is one line item, order ID is 5, product ID is 1, that Sony quantity is 3, which is exactly what we ordered, right? We had 3 of those Sonys. And if I go back to our app and let's say I want to order something else, and let's say I want to order a microphone, I'm gonna do a microphone here, add to cart, one item, let's say 2 microphones, and let's say I also want to order a tripod, and let's say maybe 2 tripods. So we have 4 items, 2 of each, so 2 tripods, 2 microphones, and let's say I have some order notes. So make sure to ring the bell and leave the delivery by the door. Okay, so something like this. And let's see, the price is correct because this is 300, this is 200, the sum is 500. We do a checkout and we have congrats on your purchase. Let's go ahead and see what happens. So if we go to our orders, we have another order here, order number 6. These are the notes. And for order items, we have 2 items here, right? This is for order number 6 and product ID 2, product ID 3, which are the different product IDs corresponding to the products that we ordered. And quantity is 2 and 2, which is exactly what we ordered. So as you can see, this works perfectly here. And one thing that we can do is, in order to prevent the system from creating orders that it should not create, we can create a constraint so that, for instance, this combination of values, it should never be, it should be unique. So order ID and product ID should be unique, okay? Once we have, that specific product in the order, we cannot have another record of that specific product because the quantity needs to be different. And so we should never have an order ID and a product ID being in the system more than once. And so we can create a constraint on that to force the system to make sure that that doesn't happen. So maybe we'll do that a little bit later in that tutorial. And so that's a little tip there to make sure that your system is robust, and this way any possible bugs are enforced in the backend. The next thing I want to do is I want to have the ability to display the order history. Okay, and we're going to be displaying this order history from the profile page. And so let's go ahead and create a profile page here. We're going to do this and we're going to go into settings. There's some good pages here, and let's use something very simple. So maybe something like this, call it profile. And here we can display various things about the user. So for instance, this could be name, but we have the email. So let's go ahead and display the email for the authenticated user. Email here, and we can also display maybe their nickname or something like that from that view that we have, okay? But one thing I want to do is from this page, I want them to be able to view their order list of orders. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this thing here, this container, and I'm going to have this order status, edit profile, and this is going to be orders, view orders, something like this. Okay, and so when they click on this, it's going to go to another page and they'll be able to view orders. Let's also double check that everything works. So we have a logout button here. Let's go and see if it's correctly set up. Logout, Supabase authentication logout. Okay, so that is completely set up. And the next thing I want to do is I want to create another page that's going to be for the order. So this is going to be a list page. And what are we going to list under orders? Well, this is going to be kind of a consolidated page. So I'm not going to list all the items they ordered, but what I am going to list is maybe the number of items they ordered, the total price, and maybe the order ID or something like this. Like, I don't want to make it too complex, so it's going to be relatively simple. So there's order history. Okay, There we go. Order history. Let's see what this page can do for us. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and work off this page, our own orders page. And so what I envision for the orders page is we can kind of use this format, and what we can do is we can list the groups of orders and then the items in that specific order. So for example, this could be one order, this could be another order, things like that. So let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit just to make things a little bit easier. And let's also fix the app bar here. I want that color, this primary color, just like in the rest of the app. Let's fix the text. Let's fix this right here. There we go. Okay. And what we're going to do here is we're going to get all the orders, and then we're going to list the order items for each of these orders inside of this column right here. And so as you can see here, we have a column, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a list inside of this column. And then inside each of these lists, we're going to have another list for that specific order. So here I'm going to add a list view. I'm going to add it right here. And inside this list view, we are going to have more list views to correspond with, the specific line item in that order. So inside this list view, I'm going to drag and drop this right here, and then this right here. Okay, and now we don't really need this. We don't really need this. Okay, so now we have this main list view that's going to get all the orders. So I'm gonna come back here, add a backend query, Supabase query, and we're gonna do orders. Okay, a list of orders, and we're gonna sort them by newest first. So newest, then the next order, the next, and then the old orders at the bottom of the list. Now there's one thing that we need to do in order for us to be even able to access our cart page or order history and any of that, and that is we need to create a nav bar. So if you search for nav bar right here, you're going to be on the app settings, and so you want to enable this nav bar. Now it tells you that nav bar requires at least 2 pages, and that makes sense. And so we need to select the pages that we want to appear in the nav bar menu. And this is going to be the home page. So you want to click on home page and you want to say show a nav bar. And now nav bar is saying requires at least 2 pages. So we need at least another page for the nav bar to be active. And another page is going to be the cart page. So you can click on the cart page and you can enable the nav bar. And now we have the nav bar here. And there's one more page that we should enable nav bar on, and that would be the profile page. So if you have this profile page, we can enable the nav bar. And now as you can see, we have 3 pages that are directly accessible via the nav bar. And of course, you can change all the icons here, but these icons look pretty standard to me. But if you want to change it, you can just select the profile, scroll down, and you can change this icon to something else, which doesn't really make sense in this case. So I'm going to change it back to profile. So maybe something like this. And as a result, the users will be able to directly access these pages without going through any of the flows, because without the navbar page, you simply won't be able to access view orders because you won't be able to access this profile page. All right, so I went ahead and created an order history page here, and it's actually a very, very simple page. Essentially, we are doing a list views and then child list views. Okay, so we have this list view up on top that displays all the orders. So these are all the records from the orders table. Okay, and so if you click here, you can see that we're basically doing a Supabase query e-orders, and we're just getting a list of rows. We're also doing ordering, created at descending. So we're showing newest elements up on top. And we also have a text field here that we're going to display some kind of order information. So maybe like order ID, order date, that kind of thing. And then we have inside of this order list, we have a column, and then we have an order items list. Okay, and so what's happening here is we also have a Supabase query, but this time we are querying e-order items. We're getting a list of rows, and we have a filter where we are making sure that the order ID from the order items matches up the order ID from this e-orders, right? So that way we get the order items for the specific order that is displaying in the list. And as a result, we have this really nice display here. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to configure it a little bit. So for instance, this text here, what I want to happen is I wanted to display maybe the order number and maybe the date. Let's go ahead and duplicate it. Let's go ahead, wrap this in a row, and let's go ahead and center the row. So something maybe like this. And let's have this display the order ID from the e-orders table. So we can display the ID right here, and this is going to display the date. Okay, so we're going to display the date, and we can also format the date. So we can do relative, we can do, the standard format. So how about the standard format? All right. And the next thing that we want to do is we want to configure the actual order items. Okay, so this should be the name of the product, and we can list the date there. Okay, so the name here, click here, order items row, and what we have here is a product ID. We don't have the actual product name. Okay, so let me just display the product ID right now. And then later on, we can actually display the name as well. Okay, so we can do number format, no formatting. Okay, so we have the product ID, and this is the price right here. And we're going to come here. And unfortunately, we don't have the price here as well. And so what we need to do is we need to create a view that's going to pull this information from this order items. And then it's also going to look up the product ID and get the price as well. And while we are creating the view, it's probably a good idea to display the product name as well as the product price here as well. We have the quantity, which is nice, but we don't have, the individual product fields. We just have the product ID, which is normal because we can easily look up the name and the price via a view. So let's go ahead into our Supabase. Let's go ahead to a SQL editor and let's ask it to create the view. So we're going to do create a view, create view to show product name and product price from the e-orders items table. Okay, because we are exclusively loading data from this table, and we definitely need the order ID as well. So I'm going to make sure that we include that. Product name, product price, show order ID, product name, and product price. And so I'm getting a server error, and it seems like there's some issue maybe because I've tried this a couple of times and I'm still getting a server error. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask ChatGPT to help me out. And for that, we're going to go to the tables that we need. So we need products here, and we're going to find the schema for this table to tell ChatGPT. This is the schema here and this definition here. And I'm going to open a new ChatGPT window, and I'm just going to paste this here. And then I'm going to go to our order items and get the schema here. And as you can see, we have that product ID. So that's enough to link this order items to our products in order to get those two fields. So I'm going to copy this here, and I'm going to paste this here. And then I'm going to tell ChatGPT the exact same thing that I was telling Supabase AI, but there's some temporary issues there, and that's why ChatGPT is going to save the day. And this is the prompt that I'm going to be using. Create a view that will display all fields from e-order items and also display product name and product price, because all we really want is for it to take the product ID and do a join with the products table and pull those additional fields. Let's go ahead and execute this. And as you can see, ChatGPT is giving us the answer, and it has called it correctly order items with product info, and it's joining it on e-product. So now we can copy this, go back to Supabase, go to a SQL view here, and just paste it in here. And I just want to change the name. So this should be e-order items and view. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call it view, and pretty much looks good. Let's go ahead and execute this, and we're getting success, no rows returned, so everything is fine. We can go back to our list and take a look at this view. This is the view that we've just created, and that should have the name and the price as well. All right, and now we're looking at this view right here. So we have all the orders here, right, with different products, and we also have the product name and the product price. All right, so now that we have this, let's go back into FlutterFlow, and let's make sure that we have access to this by refreshing the query. Go into Supabase, get schema, and here's our new view. Okay, so now we can use this view to display exactly what we need instead of that table over here. And so we're going to modify this list right here, click edit backend query, and instead of this e-order items, we're going to get the view and leave everything as it was before. Click confirm. And now we can display the product name right here. Click here, product name, click here, and we can display the price, and we can obviously format it as a currency. All right, so that is what we have. We have the name, and we can also display the date, of course. Date on format. So let's go ahead and run this app and see what's happening. What do we have here? Custom functions. Let's go ahead and compile them, and let's go ahead and run our app. All right, so here's the app. And if we go to our profile page and we click on view orders, we should be able to see the orders here. So this is order number 5. We have 1 line item. This is order number 6, 2 line items. Order number 7, 1 line item. Let's take a look and see if it corresponds to what we have in the database. Okay, so this is the stuff in the database. And as you can see, it's listing the line item. So the only thing that we really need to display is the quantity. But the structure, everything is correct. It's just we're not displaying the quantity, and it's a good idea to display the quantity. So where do we want to display the quantity? So maybe as part of the name. Okay, so maybe it should be on the same line here, on the same row. So we're going to wrap this. And the second one, I'm going to display the quantity. And we have the quantity right here. Confirm. So we have the quantity there. Let's go ahead and reload the app. All right, there's the app. Let's go ahead and click here. View orders. And there you see it. Manfrotto tripod 1. We should probably do a little bit of spacing. There's 2. And there's 2 as well. And of course, we have a little bit of overflow there. But as you can see, it says 2. And this says 3. So let's do a little bit of spacing so that it's not flushed together, right? We can do it with a padding, so maybe 5 pixels. That's going to be enough. And one thing that we can do is we can give it italic. So something like this. And yeah, that should be enough to just kind of give you the idea what's happening. See what's going on here. View orders here. And as you can see, there's a space 1, 2. And you know what I thought of? What I can do is we can do something else. We can do combined text and we can do something like this. 2 and then the quantity, right? Quantity here, number format, no formatting. So something like X2, which is, you know, the number of times. We can confirm that and we can also make it italic. Okay, so something like this. Let's go ahead and reload this. All right, there we go. View orders. Okay, and there you have it. I think I turned off italic, but you know, that's the idea. Okay, let's go turn that back on. Okay. Now we have italic. Okay, there it is. So it's bold now. And another thing I want to do is I want to make sure that this text wraps correctly. This thing a little bit smaller, maybe 14. It should hopefully fit in. All right, let's go ahead and reload this. Let's take a look at what we have. All right, there's the profile, view orders, and what do we see? Okay, now it looks a lot better. Okay. 2 of these, 1 of this, 3 of these. Okay. Oh, and another thing that we should do is we should display the price as the sum of the quantity. Okay, because each camera is 700, this should be 2100. So let's fix that real quick. And the way we fix it is by using a code expression. Okay, so we're gonna do a code expression, and this code expression is going to take in the price and it's going to also accept the quantity. So both are integers, and this is going to be a integer as well. And let's see, this is actually this should be a double. Price is a double. Let's put in, let's get a price in here. So this is price, and the second one is an integer, which is quantity. Oh, it's a double too. Okay, should be an integer, but maybe I have it stored as a double. Yeah, I have it stored as a double here in the view, but it should be an integer. And so this is quantity. Doesn't matter, not a big deal. And now this thing is gonna come back with a double false, and we're gonna say price times quantity. And let's go ahead and check for errors. And here we can also format place currency. Okay, and let's go ahead and reload this. All right, there's the app. Let's take a look, view orders, and there we have it. So it looks great. This is 100, this is 300 because they're 150 each. These are 100 each, so it's 200, and these are 700 each times 3, 2100. Okay. So as you can see, it works perfectly. One more change, and the order ID. Let's display order ID. I know I'm a perfectionist, but let me copy this variable, do a combine, come in here, let's paste this variable here, and I'm going to say order number, something like this, and then that's going to display the order number. Okay, and maybe reorder the date and the order number, so something like this. I hope you know, you guys think this is better. I hope I'm making the right design decisions there. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, let's take a look. View orders, and there we have it. Okay, order number 7, order number 6. Okay, that looks good. Obviously, you can take it as far as you want, but at least we have the right order history page view being displayed. Now, there's one important feature that I want to add that we haven't yet gotten around to doing, and that is the ability to leave reviews. So remember, we have this review table here, and we are displaying some of the reviews on the product detail page. So we are displaying, I think, the last 3 reviews or something like that, but we do not have an ability for the user to leave reviews. And the idea here is that they have these items in their order history, and they should be able to leave a review for every item that they want. And so the way it's going to work is that for each of these line items, product items here, we are going to have a button where they're going to click on it, and it's going to display a pop-up where they can leave a rating and a review. So the rating is going to be 1 to 5, and then the review is going to be free-form text. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this right now. So the first thing I want to do is I want to add a button here. Okay, so if we take a look here, we have this text here, and let's just add maybe an icon here to the right. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to find this row that contains all the elements, and I'm going to add another element there. So I'm going to add maybe an icon button that's going to be used for leaving reviews. And obviously, once the person left a review, this icon button should not be visible, or it should be at least disabled. So let's go ahead and change it around. So I don't know what's a review. Okay, so maybe something like this. Let me change the fill color. Do we need the fill color? Clear color. Do we need the border color? We do not need the border color. Let's go ahead, clear this as well. All right, so now we have this icon button here that could be used for leaving reviews. What I want this icon button to do is that when the user clicks on it, it's going to display a little pop-up, like a little pop-up from the bottom. Okay, like a little dialog box. And you can do that by creating an action, but we need a component first, right? These dialog boxes are like components. So let's go ahead and create a component. Let's see if there's something that we can use. So we're going to be using a bottom sheet. And so we can take a look here and see if there's something that we can modify. So something like this, I think, is going to work. So this is going to be review component. Review comp, create a component. So now we have this component, and we can change this to something like leave a review. We're going to delete this. We're going to delete this, and we are going to add some kind of maybe a drop down, like a drop down thing that could be used for leaving reviews, right? So this drop down is going to have like a 1 to 5 or something, right? So instead of making it like a free form for the actual review, for the rating, it should be a drop down. I think that's a good idea. And let's give it a little bit of padding from the left. So this has a 16 padding. This should probably also have a 16 padding. Okay, so let's give it a little bit of padding from the top. So something like this. And let's give it options. So we're going to create options from 5 to 1. So 5, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now when they click on it, it's gonna have like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, etc. The next thing that I want to do is I want to label these inputs, right? I always do this. This is input rating so that it's easier to reference it later. And this is input review. Let's go ahead and give this thing a placeholder, hint text, placeholder text. I'll leave a review. Okay, so something like this, and this should say create leave a review. Okay, so now we have this component that's kind of like an independent thing that's going to pop up and ask the user to leave reviews. Now, in order for us to save a review, we need to have a bunch of parameters, right? We need some data, right? And so what kind of data do we need to save? Well, we need to save a review for a particular product ID here, right? We have a product ID, we have a rating and review, but we also need to link it to the actual order, because the order has, username information, and later on, we can also compare, okay, has this order been rated yet? So it's very, very important to have that. And so I'm going to create another column here where we are going to be storing the order item. The order item, because remember, we have here order items and we have orders, right? Order is just everything, whereas order items contains the actual products that the user purchased. And so we're going to create a new column, and I'm just going to call this order item ID. Okay, and the type is going to be int8, and we're going to create a foreign relation to order items. Okay, ID. Okay, because that's exactly what it is. They're going through each order item and leaving reviews. Okay, they're not leaving reviews for the whole order, right? They're leaving reviews for a particular order item. So we have this order item here, and everything is fine. Okay, and the nice thing about it is that the order item is linked to an order, and that's linked to a user. So eventually, if we need to, we can discover who is the actual user that left the review if we need to display it somewhere. Okay, so now these items are not set, but the next reviews is going to set everything, including the order item. Now it says here no active RLS policies. Let's make sure that we have a policy here, new policy. Let's create that policy so that we can access this table and leave reviews, save policy. Okay. All right, so that has a policy now. Now, because we added a field here, you want to make sure that you go into your Supabase here and you refresh the schema. So you're going to go into Supabase get schema, and that's going to refresh everything. And so now you have this e-reviews here with all the, the fields that are up to date. Okay. And so the Supabase part is done. Now we can go into our UI builder and we can work on this UI. Now, how will this flow work? Well, the way this flow is going to work is that when the user presses the button, it's going to insert the row into Supabase. And we obviously need various pieces of information. So more specifically, we need the product ID, we need the rating, we need the review, and we need the order item ID. Now, the rating and the review is going to come from the UI. The product ID as well as the order item ID is going to come as parameters that are going to be passed from that hosted page, which is the order history page. That is the page that triggers this component here. So first, let's create these two parameters that we're going to send from the hosted page. So I'm going to label this product ID. This is an integer. It's required. Then we have the order item ID, which is also an integer. And it's required, confirm. Okay. And now we can create the flow because we have those parameters defined that are going to be coming in eventually. So we're going to come here, we're going to add an action, and we're going to say insert row e-reviews here. Now you can add the fields and you can remove these first two because they're going to be set automatically. But the product ID is going to be the parameter. The rating is going to come from the UI. Okay, so that's widget state input rating, but we can't use this because this thing expects a double, but our drop-down menu is sending us text. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to create a code expression that's going to convert it. So we're going to add an argument. So this is going to be the argument to the code expression. So rating text, and this is a string, and this is going to come from widget state, input rating, and this is going to return a double. So all you need to do is do something like this, double parse rating text. That's it. And you can use ChatGPT. You can ask it, how do you convert a text to a double in Flutter or Dart? And it's going to give you this expression. Okay. So now we're checking, no issues, confirm. And now this is set correctly. Next is the review. Should be no issues with the review, widget state, input review, and then order item ID, which were being passed from the outside. Okay. And the next thing you want to do is you want this dialog box to dismiss itself. So you can just type dismiss. And that is the flow that you want. You trigger it from a hosted page, the dialog box triggers, you pass it a bunch of parameters, and then it does something, and then it dismisses itself. That is a good pattern to follow, okay? So that is kind of what we have here, and let's go back to the hosted page, order history, and let's pass the arguments to that dialog box, okay? And let's trigger it. So we're gonna come here, add an action, and we're gonna say show bottom sheet, select a component, review component, and now you can pass all the parameters that we need. So that is just two parameters. So the product ID, we have it here, and that is this row right here. So you can just pass the ID. In fact, not this ID. It's going to be this product ID here. Confirm, and this order item ID is this ID right here. Okay, so now we have the product and we have the order item ID that's going to be stored in that review. Okay, so let's go ahead and double check custom functions. Let's recheck our custom functions. We haven't really modified them since last time, so should be no issues, and as you can see, everything's fine. So let's go ahead and run this app and let's see if the reviews are being left correctly with all the data that we need. All right, there's the app. If we go down to our profile page, we can click on view orders, and now we're seeing this button here that's going to do pop up that dialog box for the user to leave a review. So let's say we click on this one. So this is Sony. Let's say we click here and we have this pop-up. Let's say I really like Sony. Sony cameras are the best. Okay, leave a review. And as you can see, the dialog box dismissed itself. And because that was the second step, the first was the Supabase query, you can kind of induce that the Supabase query was successful. Okay, so let's go back into Supabase, and hopefully we should see a review right here. And there you have it. This is ID number 9. We have product ID 1, 5. Sony cameras at the best, and order ID is 710. Okay, so now we have a review here, right? We have a review for this specific order here. It's in the system. Now, another important thing to realize here is that you should not have another review with the same order item ID. Okay, once the user left a review, there cannot be that user cannot leave another review for that same product, right? That's how it typically works. I mean, there are some situations where you can edit an existing review or maybe delete it, but you shouldn't be able to add another one on top of it. And so a good database tip here is that in your production app, you should make this a unique constraint, which you can do on Supabase, so that, on the back end, there's no way to create another review with this order item ID. Okay, so it's another thing that you can do to protect your system and make it more robust. Because in our case, we're going to do it in the UI, but it's a good idea to do it both, right? It's a good idea to do it on the UI, and it's a good idea to do it on the backend, because sometimes the UI may fail or there's a bug in the UI. But if you do it on the backend, it's going to work all the time. It's going to be 100% bulletproof, because there's going to be no way for somebody else to come in and leave a review for the same order item, right? That belongs to the same user. So that is an important thing to realize, okay? And so now if we go back to our app, this button should not be available now, right? Because once the user has left a review, they should not be able to leave a review here. And so what we need to do next is we need to make sure this button doesn't show up. And one way of doing that is by creating a view that's going to display these items here, but also it's going to pull up the existing review that the user may have left. And then we can see, oh, is there a review for this order item? Then do not show this button. But if there's no review for this order item, maybe the rating is 0 or non-existent, then show this button. So what we need to do is we need to create a view that's going to pull this data along with the e-reviews table, so that we can make a decision when this page loads whether to give an option to the user of leaving a review or not. So if we go back to our app right here, if you go back to this order list, we have this order items list, which is responsible for populating this. And if we come here, edit backend query, we are already using a view here. So this is going to make the process a lot easier, because now we can simply go back to our Supabase and we have this order items view. And so what we need to do is we need to add another column that's going to show the rating or the lack of thereof. Okay, so we're gonna come here and we have this thing here. And so what we can do is we can create a join on e-reviews on order product ID and show the rating. Okay, and this is going to be something called the left join, because even if there is no review, we want it to be null or non-existent. We still want to show the data, but we just want to make sure that there's no rating being displayed. Okay, and we can employ ChatGPT to update our view for us. So I'm gonna go to the definition, copy this view, go back here, paste this view, and then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna go to e-reviews definition. I'm gonna paste this view, and then I'm gonna say update the first view, which was called e-order items view, update, add e-rating, add rating from e-ratings, e-reviews as a left join. Okay, and let's go and see what happens. All right, now it's generating our new view for us. And as you can see, this new view has a new field called rating from e-reviews, and we're doing a left join on e-reviews. And the reason we're doing a left join is because we still want that review to show up, just maybe as a 0 or something, right? Or as an empty field. And so here's the new query. Let's go ahead and copy it, and let's go ahead and execute it in our SQL editor, paste it in here, and let's see if it works. Success. And now let's go and see if it actually gives us the data that we need. And this is the new view that we created. And as you can see, it has a new column called rating that it's pulling from the e-reviews table. This particular record here, which has an ID of 710, and this is that order item ID in that other view, it has a rating of 5. And so this means that when we are displaying these items in order history, it means that we can skip this record because it already has a rating. Okay, this is very, very powerful. So let me show you how this is going going to be implemented. So let's go back to FlutterFlow and let's come here, refresh our schema here. Okay, so now to take a look at this view right here. This is this order items view, and we have a rating here. Okay, so now when we go back here, when we fetch the data, we can do a conditional on this, right? So check this out. This could now be a conditional. So we can create a conditional and we can say, well, let's see. And we can come over here and we can say, well, it has a rating there. And so we can create a condition. And so we can say rating is not set. So this button will only be displayed if that rating is not yet set. We're going to say confirm, and let's go ahead and fix these custom functions here. Recompile these, should be no changes again, should be absolutely fine. And now let's go ahead and start a new session. All right, there's the app. Let's go to our profile page, view orders, and these are the orders. And as you can see, this is not being displayed here because this thing has a review. Okay, now if we come here and we leave a review, it should also not be displayed there as well. So we're going to say this is okay, let's say it's a 4, great microphone, a little price. Okay, so something like this, leave a review. And as you can see right away, this is no longer being displayed for this record because the review was left and the review is set. And so if we go into reviews over here, we should see a new record here being created. This great microphone, but a little pricey. And the order item ID is 711. And then when we need to grab all that data, we're going to go to this order items view, which is that view that we're displaying on order history. You see, this is this ID right here. And as you can see, this is the 711 right here. And it has a review for Rode Wireless Micro and the rating is 4. And because there's a rating, that button is not being displayed for this. And it's also not being displayed for this. So if I leave a review here, let's say I don't like him, let's just, vary it a little bit. So, not a good tripod. Okay, leave a review, that saves it. And now you can't leave a review anymore. So that is how you create a system where you can leave a review, save all the data, but then have it reflected back in the UI in a very reactive way. All right, so we're getting to the final stretch here. We're almost done. Let's have a quick walk around of the app and let's see if there's some, tweaks or bug fixes or things like that that we need to look at to make this app even better. So let me go ahead and run this app right now. All right, so here's our app and we have the category screen. We have the search that uses Algolia. Let's go ahead and add some items to our shopping cart. We have the Sony, and Sony has one review, has a bunch of reviews here. Let me go ahead and add this to our shopping cart. We can come to the shopping cart and we're seeing this right here. Now, if I delete it, I don't see anything, right? So potentially I should not be able to check out. So that is one thing that we need to add. Another thing that I want to add is we need to display that there's no items in the shopping cart. So none of this should be visible if there are no items, and this should not be visible. But other than that, I think we're pretty much done. Right? That's kind of the main thing that we still need to do. So let's go ahead and fix this right now, and then we'll see what else we need to do. So if we go to our cart page, we need to display a message that there's no items in the shopping cart if it's empty. Okay, so what we need to do is there's a couple of ways of doing it, but come to this list view here, we can make this list view in a stack. And then, on the other side, the other item that could be displayed conditionally is a message that says there's no items in the shopping cart. So that's the simplest way of doing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this in a stack, and then I'm going to add something else. So here, there's a couple of things that you can add. So here you have various templates. And if you search, let's say empty, you have this really cool template that we can use. So I'm going to add that there. And so now if you come to the top here, if we collapse this, we have this here. And this is that new template that we've just added. So I'm going to rename it. I'm going to do empty. So this is empty shopping cart right here, this thing here. So that is there. And then you have these input nodes, you have a bunch of other things that we don't need to really display here. And so another way of doing it, and because we have a lot of other content that's not part of this list view that we're trying to conditionally display or not display, what we need to do is we need to bring this stack to the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this stack right here, remove this widget, and I'm going to make the main column the stack, right? Because this displays everything. And it's ideal. So I'm going to wrap this whole thing in a stack, okay, this main column. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this all the way to the top like this. And now we have it correctly, right? So now we have this main column here, and I'm going to rename this column as an cart cart column, and then this is empty cart, okay, empty cart column, okay. And so as you can see, this is a column for the shopping cart, but this is also a column for the empty cart, so you can even say empty cart column. So now we can create conditions, right? So we can say this is conditional if let's say if, you know, single condition, we can say app state shopping cart, and here we have number of items, and we can say number of items is greater than 0, okay, so something like this. So if there's at least one item in the shopping cart, okay, so greater than 0, and that means this thing is going to be displayed. If it's not going to be displayed, then this thing will be automatically displayed. So what we can do is we can also take this, copy this variable here, come here, and we can create a condition. And the condition for the empty one is if it's empty, right? So what we can do is single, we can even paste it here. Number of items is equal to 0. Okay, so something like this. And now let's go ahead and run it and see if we've set it up correctly. Let's do an instant reload here. All right, let's go ahead and see our shopping cart. And what do we see? We see it seems like you have no orders, right? So obviously the logic works. We just need to change a couple of things here, right? And as you guys might have noticed, I'm not really concerned about the UI stuff. I'm concerned about the logic because the UI is very, very easy to change. So now you can go to cart column, you can go to conditional, and you want to disable this. Now you see this. Let's go ahead and change the icons here. Cart. Okay, seems like you don't have any items, any products here. Browse our products and add them to the shopping cart for them to appear here. And this thing can, you know, redirect them to the home page or something like this. So we can do add action, navigate home page. Okay, and let me go ahead and fix that button there. Button looks really weird. Why does that button look so weird? Take a look at this button. Let's give it a width. Okay, so something like this, maybe a height. Okay, that looks better. Maybe make it a little bit bigger, the text. Browse store. Okay, seems like you don't have any products. Browse our products, browse our product catalog, and add the products to the shopping cart for them to appear here. Okay, let's go ahead and reload the app, and it should be a lot more pleasing to the eye. Okay, come back here, and what do we see? Seems like you don't have any products. Browse store, and we're redirected to the front page. All right, so there you have it. It's an e-commerce app with a ton of features, a ton of functionality. You can extend it as far as you want. You can build an e-com store. You can extend it, add your own functionality, and even sell this app as if you want. You can, you know, provide this app as a service to various businesses, or you can study how I built certain things here, apply this knowledge, and build all kinds of different apps in all kinds of different niches. But regardless what you're going to be doing, you know, you definitely need to view this app on your own screen, at your own leisure time, on your own computer. And you definitely need to be able to clone this app to get the maximum benefit from this app. And you will be able to do that by joining our amazing Patreon community. Because when you join our amazing Patreon community, not only will you get access to this app, but you're going to get access to all the apps that I published on this channel, as well as extra content such as Q&As, live streams, behind the scenes content, and our Patreon supported masterclass series where I do deep dives on specific topics that the community votes on. And so if you're interested in leveling up your no-code, whether that is to build various apps, start a new software business, offer services to businesses, or learn a new skill, a very, very valuable new skill, then you definitely need to join our amazing Patreon community. Because when you join our amazing Patreon community, you're going to get access to a ton of benefits. But most importantly, by joining, you're going to be supporting this channel and supporting my work. And that is greatly, greatly appreciated. And so if you're serious about no code, but you have not yet made a move to our amazing Patreon community where we help each other overcome all kinds of issues and overcome all kinds of obstacles, then you definitely need to consider becoming a member. And so I really, really hope to see you there.